How long till it starts? Oh, I don't know, man. I do not know how long we must wait. I hope it's not that much longer. I wonder if he's gonna do one of those weird... I wonder if he's gonna do one of those weird songs to start it again. I don't know. It's good. You know? You guys wonder about that? I wonder about that. No? Do you guys not wonder about that? Alright. I guess that's fine.
Bright flashing by the street lights. Keep waiting till you've arrived. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Give me a reason to feel right. I keep waiting for the morning light. I let him fall. Let him fall. You need to give me something I can't hold on to. Asleep through the night after all. Debating how you live your life. Bright flashes of white light. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Your search for the truth has begun. Believing you dream of the one. Keep dancing the whole way. 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 It's easy to let go. Change your track when it feels slow. Just lose control. Just lose control. Bright flashing by the street lights. I'm awake until you arrive. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Losing your sight. Pitch black light. You try to rewind and make things right. Keep dancing the whole way. 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 Keep dancing the whole way.
Dang it. I thought I was going to be able to get myself to cry. I thought I was going to be able to pull a tear out at the end. Oh well. Can't win them all. Can't win them all. I was trying to make myself cry. I thought it would have been really funny if it ended with me crying. Oh, well, that's okay. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Today is a very special day. Very special day. We have a guest with us. Oh, look at all the wonderful people in the chat. Hello, Rose Gosling, Rockamage, Chucky Darwin, Jonathan, Big Pam, Phony. What's up? Guys, we're doing a call-in show today. Call-in show. What's up, Ross? Yeah, you walked in on me, baby. Welcome. We're doing a call-in show today, and we are joined by none other than the wonderful, the enigmatic, the vivacious, the clever DianaoftheRose. And if you're not familiar with DianaoftheRose, I strongly encourage you to follow her. Her TikTok and Instagram are linked down below. She is super entertaining, and I feel like, well, I'm going to bring her on in a second. But I feel like one of the things that is particularly cool about the content that she makes is that when she talks about ideas that you can do in D&D, they are all things that I feel like I could just do immediately. Like, they're very action-oriented in a way that, like, a lot of my content isn't. And I appreciate how... oh, do you hear me whistle? I appreciate... how legitimately actually helpful this stuff she has to say is, and also just pretty interesting. Anyway, we've been making her wait for a while, so I'm gonna turn my camera off here. Don't be scared. I'm still here. I'm just gonna turn on. I gotta turn on the Discord. Don't be scared. Don't be sad. Don't be scared, everybody. Don't be too sad. Where the fuck is? Oh, here it is. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? Wait here. Let's let these people see us. Hello. How's it going?
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the stream.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Loved the serenading at the beginning. That was amazing.
Thank you. It is. I decided I like the idea of having a show that feels like it has like I don't know, like an element of like variety show to it. And I don't think I'm good at a lot of things, but I am good at not minding making a fool of myself. So,
there you go. That's all you need.
So we lean in where we can. Wait a second. Let me make sure I'm facing a good direction. Now, we got to give the illusion that we're talking to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, hi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you are DianaoftheRose.
That is the pronunciation. Yeah, you got it. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay, for folks that don't understand that reference, we had a weird moment where I got really excited to have Diana on my show, and I realized that I didn't know how she pronounced her name. And I was trying to make some pump videos about it, and then to be true, you know what I actually did? I started by going through like too many, I would say, of your videos,
oh boy,
to try to find a moment where you were self-referential, and I couldn't find one. And then I was like,
wait, hold on, it's pinned to my profile. There's one where I like,
are you like,
it's like the third one. It's the DM screen one. I say like the first line is me talking to myself, being like, oh, Diana.
Do you say your name?
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. Oh my god.
It's cool. I'm glad that you put in the research, you know?
Well, we're off to a great start.
No, this is fantastic. For what it's worth, I also don't know if you go by like Cinderblock or Sally or Sin or...
whatever you prefer. Most people call me Cinder or Sally. You can do either. The joke that I usually make is call me whatever you want, but don't call me late for dinner. Sure. But that's not a great joke. There's a fly. That's not a great joke, but you know, we get what we can. Snotty Man asked a question already immediately. So the way that this works, just so you know, is that we're gonna chat for a little while. Cool. But if people chime in with super chats or want to just come in on the stream, we'll usually bounce back and forth between those. What did you say, Snotty? I just wanted to say hi to my favorite Eldritch Horror. Yo, man, I love you too. Whatever. Do I prefer Cindy or Sally? I answered that question already. So, Diana, before we dive into talking to these miscreants on the internet, I want to ask you a little bit about yourself. So, how long have you been doing the being a person that is forward public facing on the internet?
Oh God. So if you go like scroll down way to like my first ever video, that was back in 2019-ish, like pandemic era. I found like I'm super shy about, you know, making videos in front of people. So I waited until every single one of my roommates was out and I had like 10 seconds to post something to like some popular song, some popular audio, as everyone does on TikTok. And that was in 2019, 2020, but things didn't really pick up until recently. The trajectory has been just fucking wild, honestly.
I mean, well, that is part of what makes TikTok pretty cool, is that it's like really good for that. But also, I think your content speaks to that, because I think that a lot of people are on that platform, this platform of ours, and a lot of people talk about a lot of stuff, and almost none of it is original, and it largely comes down to the way you present and the the way you cook the food. So I think it speaks to your quality, the fact that there has been some serious trajectory. So you can
thanks.
give yourself at least a minor pat on the back for that. When did you? Okay, so you are different than me, as most people are. I basically do two types of content. I basically do D&D content, or sort of, I would call friendly trolling content, and very little in between. But you do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question, which is that, did you know, like, at what point were you like, I'm going to start making D&D a part of this content that I'm putting out regularly? And did that dramatically change anything about, like, your relationship with being a content creator, or not really?
I think so. I think I just had the most to say about D&D as opposed to other things. I've been playing since, well, not playing, I've been like world building and on the DM side of things since high school, and I'm 24 now. So I think I was telling Toria the other day, it's going on like 10 years. And I've done a lot of absorbing, like, tips, content, done a lot of like stuff on my end. Especially coming at it from like the accessibility when it comes to growing up dirt poor, broke college kid type vibe, and still trying to play D&D. So I was like, man, I got a ton of helpful information. Like, I want to toss this out there. And then it ended up sticking way better than any other normal info I have. So, I'll still post those other videos, but they just they're not something I want to build a brand around. Not that I'm trying to build a brand. I'm just doing this for fun, but it's not like.
Can I give you a piece of advice that I could also talk to you about privately, but it's a genuine thing. I don't think you need to. I think the brand that you build is yourself.
Thank God.
I don't think you. That's part of why I think you're. That's why, honestly, that's a big part of why I really like your content. Is that it is. I'm. How to put this? When you just see somebody's D&D advice, you are getting a very small window into a very specific perspective. And sometimes, if you don't know anything about that perspective, that window can be a little bit skewed. And I feel like you can sort of start to see the thought process behind a dungeon master or a player, or anyone really, when you start to see more parts of them. It's like you're getting to know, I mean, this is all very parasocial, but it is like you're getting to know them a little bit. Like, you're seeing the different ways that they problem solve and put import into things that aren't D&D or TTRPGs. I think it gives insight into, I don't know, the way that they do think about those things, Is that crazy people talk?
Oh no, that's 100% a thing. Cause like, I don't know, at the top of my profile, I have like 3 or 4 interests of mine, and I'll have people who are there just for the D&D stuff, but over time with the content that I put out, they're still listening to the other things that I have to say. Like, I'll put out videos about zoology facts, because I was a zoology major back in college, and then they'll come to me either in my DMs or my comments and be like, oh my God, like, I'm also a D&D player who's an animal nerd who also really loves like all these other things, and they have more to have in common, I guess, with the creator in that way. So I don't know, it's just another facet of connection, and I love it.
So, speaking of zoology,
yeah,
do you have a favorite creature?
Oh, okay, so here's the thing.
Or a favorite biome? Is that an easier question? A favorite biome?
They're all hard.
The deep sea! Come on now!
The deep sea, we don't know shit about the deep sea,
It's the only place where there's real monsters left.
Yeah, but that's only because we killed the ones on the planet, like on Earth.
Fine,
we had some cool ones.
Fine.
I was gonna make a video about this at one point. If you guys start looking into like prehistoric creatures, like we have things called like the hell pig. I don't even know what that is, but just by name alone, I want to turn it into a D&D thing. So if you ever need inspiration for D&D creatures, start looking at the stuff that we killed or the stuff that went extinct. It's a gold mine.
All right, fair. So no favorite creatures? I know it's a hard question for a zoology person.
Yeah, so usually we break it down into categories, so we don't have like a single overarching favorite creature. We have like a favorite mammal, favorite lizard, favorite fish, favorite avian. So many.
Name a couple.
Easy one, the ruby-throated hummingbird, specifically. They, I don't know, I just love them. They're just little guys. They're just little guys with like little cool little chests, fun chest hair, zoom around. And we used to have them when I was growing up, and they love those like red flowers. So if you plant those anywhere around me, they'll start cropping up. So that's the low-hanging fruit answer. There's like a billion other answers.
All right, I accept. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole if that's not the direction.
Do you have one? I can judge the shit out of yours if you want, from a professional standpoint.
Okay, actually, that's a great idea. Because I do have a favorite animal, and it's I switched. I have two favorite animals.
Yeah, it's not so fucking easy, is it?
But they have also been my well, I have one that is like my favorite animal from childhood, like it's my consistent favorite animal, and then I have another one that has joined into the fold, and now they are equally. Does that make like
okay?
You know what I mean? Like I have things that I've loved, like there's bands that I used to love, there's bands that I grew into loving. So the animal that I have loved forever as my favorite animal is a bat. I love bats.
Good choice.
I love how there are giant bats and there are tiny bats. I love how different all their heads look. I love how they are like so good at flying and that they use their fingers to turn. I like that they're really, really cute, but you can't touch them because their immune system is so strong that they are just rabid with diseases. So it's like this weird double-edged sword where they are the strongest, but being too close to them, you can't be. So you have to love them from afar. So there's a tragedy to it. I don't know. I love bats. And then the other things that I really like are I love an octopus. I love an octopus.
Oh yeah, classic. They're so smart.
They're the superhero of the animal world.
Yeah.
It's like every animal gets like 2 things. They get like 30 things. Turtles get their shell. Alligators get the bite and the spin. What octopi get? Well, they get tentacles that also are brains. They can like bend in a million ways. They can camouflage super well. I don't know. They're just so good. They're just so cool. Ink.
Yeah. The ink.
Yeah. So those are my 2 favorites. Okay. Let me ask you a question. I do want to start doing callers at some point. I know that there are already people. I see people waiting. If you want to be on the call, the instructions are down below me here. I'll make there they are spinning around the screen. Basically, go into the Discord, join the stream waiting room, and you will be in the queue. Let's get back to D&D for a second. You're a dungeon master first, right?
Yes, I way prefer being a DM to being a player. It's a control thing, 100%.
Did you start playing as a player or a dungeon master?
I started as a player. My first introduction to D&D was back in high school, and that campaign lasted, I think, less than a month. So I had like maybe 3 weeks of playing as a player, but it was too late. I was hooked. I was in. I was like, oh my god. I quit. I didn't quit that campaign. It dissolved just due to scheduling and all that. And immediately I tabbed out and started building my own world. The world that I still have to this day. So it's definitely. I started being a player and then immediately pivoted to being a DM.
That was actually going to be my next question. Was when you started dungeon mastering? Tell me, like you went straight to building your own world. No modules. Burn the forgotten realms are forgotten.
Fuck them. Yeah, no, we so I have kind of a mixed approach to it, and I've touched on it in some of my videos. I haven't really explained it fully, but essentially I wanted like a clean slate that I could build off of. So I started building a world, tracing out continents, dropping in random names, drawing random country lines. No template to it whatsoever, wasn't based on anything. And then now what I do is I still run the published modules, but essentially I reskin them to fit into that world. So for instance, if I were to play Waterdeep modules, I would shove that into a big city in one of my countries called Sensilis. Like it's just reskinned, and the story names are different, NPC names are different, but it feels homebrew without me actually having to do all the work of writing a homebrew module.
And it's the same world that you've been running for 10 years?
Sort of. I haven't really been a GM that long.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, sort of. No, it's a common. I think when people see my content and stuff, they just assume that I'm like some master DM who's been playing for forever. I think I can count maybe less than 6 months of consecutive playtime overall over those 10 years. Most of it's been like theoretical planning for the campaigns and things like that because it's so hard to keep groups together.
It's the worst.
So people think I have a lot more experience than I do. It's all theoretical, but it's working out good. I think.
Regardless of playtime, because you're talking about time at the table. Regardless of playtime. Including the theorizing though, because let's not take away credit where credit is due. Is it the same game world that you sort of started playing in and you've been building it out?
Yeah, exactly. So, and
That's
this
crazy.
is something it's so much fun, especially because you can play with the continuity of it, right? I have like 3 or 4 different modules that all start in the same town. And so when one person, they might run consecutively, they might run after each other. But if someone in one campaign in that town does something, it will affect what every other player playing in that town from then on out sees. And the continuity of it is just so much fun to play with. Sometimes my players will play in multiple campaigns in the same like timeline, in the same area of the world, and have drastic effects on, the campaigns. And even though they're in all those campaigns, they don't connect the dots until later that like one of their characters is affecting the other character through time. It gets so much fun.
That's nuts. That would be a jaw drop moment for sure when that realization is made. Have you ever had parties interact or like write letters to each other or like engage in any way, sort of in like a meta in-game way?
Not yet, but not to spoil anything. I don't think any of my players are in the chat. Oh yes,
I saw Hannah.
Hannah's here.
Hi, Hannah.
They absolutely have the opportunity to run into each other.
That is very cool. That is very cool. Okay, so you're how are you keeping track of all this stuff? Do you have like are you an avid note taker? Are you world anvil? What's going on? It's a lot of cause and effect going on here.
I just really don't have a life. Is the short end of it. People always ask me like what I keep notes and shit on. It's just a Word doc, which I don't recommend this. Like a lot of people recommend, what's the one that looks really scary? The one with the spider web, like nodes connecting shit and things like that. Obsidian, is it?
I don't know.
There's something that usually people recommend that's got like a lot of really way better note-taking things than I do, but everything I do is just in Word docs.
I know World Anvil. Everyone yells about World Anvil.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. No, I'm similar. I'm Chaos Word documents, which I think is really nice for the flow. So okay, are you an improviser or an outliner, or like where do you? I mean, everyone's both. Okay, yes, everyone's both. But which camp do you sit in more?
Definitely an outliner. I'm the type of person like I said, it's a control thing, and I'm only half joking because when it comes to, like I said, I take published modules and I reskin them, but I also improve on them. Like I try and think out every possible route. I even take like the room descriptions, and I beef them up. I add my own sentences so that way I can read verbatim, like the most planning possible. But when it comes to things like character descriptions, monster descriptions, dialogue, I make that up on the fly, and usually I'll have a drink or two before DMing. People don't recommend this. I don't recommend this, but like it helps a lot with the improv in the moment. So it's a little of both.
I think that the point of D&D is fun. That's actually the point. That's all that matters. That's genuinely all that matters. Especially if it's just for your friends. Even if you're doing it publicly, it's fun is the point. So I don't know, man. I've played in games where everyone's fucking getting trashed, and it's fine because that's what they want. Like that's the thing is if it's what the table wants, it doesn't really matter. So do whatever. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. We're actually doing a drunk one shot here soon. I'm sure you guys have heard of Wild Sheep Chase. Yeah. It's like a really So I'm gonna DM that for like a group of somewhere between like 6 and 12 people. We're gonna just throw all chaotic, and
that's going to be hectic. I've played that module. It's a fun one. It's a fun module. Have you read through it yet?
Oh yeah, I've read through it, modified it, shoved it into my world. It's all good to go.
Very cool. Did you read the book? Do you know the Wild Sheep Chase?
Oh, is that like the book from that one author? Are you talking about like the actual book?
But because the module takes a lot from the book. There's a lot of not like it's almost like Easter eggs. But if you have read, it's a take it or leave it book. But it is one of those things that like if you had read it, I'd have been like, oh, did you notice this? But it doesn't really matter.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you are a planner. You're a planner. You're a crafter. You're controlling. You're domineering. You want to be in charge, but you also want to be in charge because you're fostering greatness. So when you're running a game, and callers I see, guys, listen, it's not so often that we have a chance to be sitting here with someone as auspicious as the great DianaoftheRose. So I'm going to be selfish and take a little bit of time. Y'all going to wait.
I'll be around for a while too. You guys will have plenty of time.
Yeah, and if they don't, it's fine. Listen.
Okay.
So you're a planner. So how do you navigate being a planner while maintaining an element of agency for your characters within your plan?
I try, and so when I say I'm a planner, I don't plan in the way that I'm like, in a railroady sort of sense. I mean, I take like the original module, which is, they always tend to be very railroady, right? And I create or plan a bunch of different routes outside of that, so that way they might all go to the same place. We don't have to tell the players that, but making sure that if they decide to go with the non-standard answer, that there's still a plan in place for that. So I'm a planner in that I'm weaving a complex web, and they could take however many paths they want, and I'll have something ready for it.
That kind of shit that you just said there, where it's like a lot of paths can go to the same place. That talking about that stuff is both why you're a good creator and also why you're like the magician that's revealing the tricks.
I know, because I want people to feel okay doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and they should. But do you ever make a video? So I do this sometimes. Do you ever make a video where you want to talk about something you do in your games, but you don't want people to know that it's a thing that you do in your games? Because it kind of ruins the magic. Do you still make those videos, or do you not?
Sometime not. Nah, I think I got like 1 or 2 in draft where I'm like, shit, this is so controversial. It's like talking about fudging your rolls, you know.
Dude,
and usually
I'm about to drop. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I haven't done it, but I've definitely like I try and be honest. I won't. Yeah, yes and no. Like it's not.
Do you roll behind the screen?
Oh yeah, everything.
I don't.
And that alone is controversial.
I'm a front screen roller. Yeah.
That's ballsy.
You know, do you know how it started? It started because when I started playing D&D with my friends, I didn't have any supplies, so we just played on a kitchen table, and I didn't think about using a DM screen. So it just was like we didn't think about it because it was like I didn't own a DM screen, and it was like we were just hanging out. There wasn't, so and then it just became the norm. And I actually like it. The times that I have rolled without a screen, I find that I pull my punches unintentionally. And I don't like. I understand that it's good, but I don't like to do that. I like when a monster gets a crit, it's fun for them to get the crit, and I don't want to make that crit. Oh, that was a 19. Let's let that crit be a 20. And if everyone has to see it, then it becomes existence.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But you should do whatever you want. But I will say that because it really wasn't an active choice that I made. It was just the way that I got comfortable playing the game. But it's a powerful tool, the fudging of dice. But it's a dangerous weapon, man. Because if people see you using it, you're done.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things that like everyone does it. No one talks about it. It's like picking your nose. Everyone, come on. It's a thing that happens to everyone at some point.
Yeah, I'm listening. Realistically, if you're here for a while, I'm gonna pick my nose at least once. It's a wonderful habit I have. Phony says roll in front of the screen and still fudge the rolls. That is a power move.
The power move.
That is a power move, dude. That is a power move. Okay. I'm gonna ask you some more Dungeon Master questions. Wait, one more player question. You are a player sometimes, though, right? You've been a player?
Oh,
you
like
really know?
Barely.
Barely?
I don't think so. I think I did half a one-shot for Halloween, and that was about it.
So if you were gonna play in a game, if somebody gifted you 2 hours a week that could only be used to playing D&D with a group of people that you were very excited to play D&D with, but as a player, do you have an idea of what class you would play?
Oh, yeah, easily druid. So the first character I ever played was a druid. I know they're not like the most game-breaking combo. I know they're not like the best, but for roleplay alone, having wild shape is so much fun. And I've always had like nature-y vibes. You can see all the plant. Well, that one's dying. Don't look at that one. But like all the plants, those are also fake. Don't look at this one. That little monster right there. That's all I got. But like I got like earthy vibes. I love druids.
Okay. How do you feel about? Have you seen the new 1D&D druid?
Everyone asked me about that. I didn't even know 1D&D was happening until someone DM'd me, and they were like, "How do you feel about this?" I was like, "Fuck, what? How do I what?"
Yeah, fair. The 1D&D druid, the big difference that I haven't read through it. The big difference that I know about though is they're changing or at least right now they're changing the way the wild shape works, so that instead of you picking a beast stat block, there are templates. So it's basically you're picking 3 different types of beasts, but it essentially that roleplay element that is the reason why I'm asking is because it, in my opinion, it makes it way easier to balance and mechanically interact with, but it completely removes the roleplay aspect, I think, because it's like you can't be. I want to be a spider or a mongoose or a squirrel. Like you can't do that anymore.
That's annoying. Yeah. How has the reception been for 1D&D? Do people like it, or people? I know no one likes change.
I think it's pretty cut down the middle in terms of things people like and things people don't like. There's some stuff that, again, I'm not super deep in the weeds. There's some stuff that I've seen that people really like. Like the things that I've seen that I've really liked is warlocks having Eldritch Blast as a core class component, and then maybe even tying like subclasses into alternative versions. I think that's cool. And the other one that I thought was kind of neat is sorcerers having some base sorcerer spells that all sorcerers have, and I think they were going off of like chromatic blast or stuff like that, but like trying to give classes some core unique things different than spellcaster or martial with a little bit of flair, but having everyone sort of have a thing, like in the same way that druids have wild shape or clerics have channeled divinity, and I think that's cool. But
Huh.
we'll see. I
I'll have to
I
look
don't know
into it.
anything about it yet, so it's the kind of thing where like
Yeah.
I'm not super excited for it to become a thing because it just means I'm gonna have to become less good at what I do for a living for a while. You know?
And that's scary, and no one
Yeah.
likes that.
Yeah. So okay, so Dungeon Master,
Yes.
Dungeon Master, all the time.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Let's talk about monsters. Let's talk about monsters for a second.
Okay.
Do you have any monsters that are your go-to monster that you're just like, I'm gonna have a good time running this monster? Like they are fun. That they evoke like a ooh, let's fucking go.
Honestly, it's hard to choose favorites. And I know that's
Okay.
not a satisfactory answer,
No,
but
it's the zoologist in you is what it is. You're
It is. I like
zoologizing it.
everything.
All right, let me ask you this then. What's your favorite okay. Do you have a favorite creature type or like a go-to monster type that you like building campaigns around? Like do you love the fae or the shadow creatures or things like that?
Honestly, I really like undead, mostly because I think horror campaigns, you can do a lot with them creatively as a DM. We played Curse of Strahd, and in the last, this was like Friday, I reskinned a creature, a flying horror specifically, to be a lot more scary. And I know it's not an undead creature, so this is not a good example.
If you made it undead, it's undead.
Exactly. So it became undead, and things, they're just horrifying and really easy to make scary just based on purely how they look. So, in that campaign, you can do things. I think I mentioned this in a video once, taking like an ooze, and instead of having it be like a normal ooze, you can make it a coagulated blood ooze or something spooky like that. You can take any sort of monster and reskin it as an undead creature super easily. And it's just, I like spooky stuff. I don't know.
Spooky stuff is good. I sometimes struggle. My home games don't love being spooky. My players at home are such fucking goofballs. Like they don't know how to get scared. So I sometimes will go out of my way to try to like make something have like a really intense moment, but I don't know. We're just doing 80s action movies in my home games. Everything is just ridiculous and catchphrases and like doing like whips to the camera kind of vibes.
I love that.
I love undead. Undead are really fun. I think that undead are one of the great examples of monsters that if you just take them at face value, they're pretty good. But if you extrapolate the features into like what they might look like or feel like, they can be really scary. Yeah, they're really fun. Like the whole like the saving throw to just come back over and over and over again. The way you depending on how you narrate that, it can be just like it's like really you get into some spooky, unnerving stuff. It can be a lot of fun. How many friggin' people are here? Oh, not too many. Okay, good. Do you have a favorite class? This is a little bit different, but do you have a favorite class to DM for? Or do you have a class that not a favorite. Let's pull favorites out. Fuck favorites. We're zoologists here.
All right. Yeah.
Do you have classes that you're like when a player is one of these? Like it makes I get excited to run a campaign because I know this class is going to be in my game.
I really like it when people play warlocks and clerics, only because it makes it so easy to integrate the player's backstory into the campaign by saying like, oh, why does this person's god want them to do these? Why do they want them to complete this quest? Why is this warlock patron sending them into this demi-plane, and like, what do they want out of it? It's just such an easy, like, I guess, quest line to integrate. And I really do believe in the importance of integrating player backstories into the campaign as best you can, like weaving it in there, giving them personal goals, giving them personal rewards, because that increases player investment so much. And it's a lot easier to do with clerics and warlocks than anything else.
Oh yeah. Some of the most fun I've had in campaigns have been running games for warlocks, clerics too. But I'm always afraid of the problem that I have, or I used to have, I still have it, is I make everything go to 1,000,000 too quickly, and like if I start having the god of a cleric like come down and like give him a high five and do some crazy shit at like level 5, it's like what am I gonna do at level 6? You know what I mean? I get in this like arms race with myself pretty regularly. Azalis from the chat had a similar question. They asked, do you have favorite kinds of items to give out?
Yeah, I actually, and this is a homebrew rule, but I give all of my characters a free common magic item at character creation, just for like role playing and things like that. And what they choose based on that like initial character creation gives me good insight onto the types of things that they'd want later in the campaign as like a flavorful, magic item that fits I don't know. I'm a very big fan of themes. So, you know, if someone always wears like super dark colors, like we've got a character in my campaign who is functionally a goblin child, which I know is controversial to have as a player, but he's got a stuffed animal, which is a reskinned Strixhaven like stuffed thing. I don't know the exact stat block for it, but essentially it like clings onto a certain body part when you wrap it around like someone's arm or something. It's the cutest thing ever. And so that's now I'm like, okay, well now I know what's that bag of anything that would relate to like small animals, you know. I think there's one that's I'm terrible DM for not knowing this. The thing where you just like take a random bag of something, you pull out something and it becomes an animal.
Oh, the bag of fuzzies. That's
yes.
Actually, it's not called the bag of fuzzies, but it's that.
But you know, you get it. Yeah.
It's chat. What's it called? You know what it is. The bag of fuzzies.
Chat, help me out here, please.
They're gonna know. We have some clever folks in the chat. There's a guy in my Discord goes by the name of Derek. He's actually probably gonna come on stream, and he has been taking common magic items and writing homebrew for them as like very rare versions of them or rare versions of them, and sort of like taking that logic and extrapolating out. It's very cool. Bag of tricks. Oh, I was so close with bag of fuzzies.
Is that the one? Yeah.
So
3 people said it, like, shading. Thanks, guys.
Some smarty pants. All right. Okay. Cool. I think if you're down, I would love to start grabbing some callers from chat. But before I do, for anybody that's here that hasn't yet, please do me the favor of going and following Diana on her Instagram, on her TikTok. She's pretty fantastic, and I will say this, her content is genuinely entertaining and clever, and it is very different than my content, but in a way that I think will help you have a more wholesome existence. Sort of like, listen, you don't want to just drink chocolate milk, okay? Every now and then you need some root beer. So, you know, you got to mix it up. So go follow her. She is friggin' fantastic. All the deets are in the description. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift gears a little bit. By the way, we can always go on tangents. Oh, I have rules for you before rules for the chat. We can always go on tangents. We are not obligated to do anything other than, you know, say hi to these crazy people. Cool. And then if you have any friends or party members or something that you are like, oh, they are in the waiting room and I want to talk to them, just tell me and I'll just bring them to the front of the line. Cool. So chat, here's the way that it works. Here's the call-in instructions. Join my Discord. The link is in the description of the video. Then go to the stream waiting room, which is a chat room, and then it's open, and then that's it. And if you go to the stream events page, you can see the order of people that were coming in. So we're gonna start bringing people in. Be polite, or I'm gonna ban you from my Discord. Okay, so we have Filthy Firefly is gonna be first, and then Mac Gun 20. So let me grab Filthy Firefly.
Hello.
Wait, Filthy, what's going on? Oh, I that's me. I fucked shit up. Here, give me 1 second. I fucked shit up. I always do this. Boom. Okay, we're back. We're back to looking like people. Hi, Filthy. What's up, dude?
I'm pretty good. How about yourselves?
Oh, we're doing very well. Thank you for calling.
No, it's a pleasure. Going off what you were speaking before about planning, I'm currently at a point in my campaign where they're in between quests, and I always find it difficult to avoid having that kind of like in between quest session where they go shopping, go to the tavern, and I find that it can drag on and not be fun. So what would you guys do in your games to avoid that kind of those kind of moments, and not necessarily railroad where the story needs to go, but push them along to make decisions?
Oh.
I can go first if you want. I'm gonna throw you into the fire. So I got two things. One, I do think that there is a feeling of responsibility that dungeon masters have that they don't always need to have, which is that every single thing must be a cinematic story. Sometimes I think it is okay to take those quiet moments if you don't want to do something, to be like, hey guys, you have this much gold, you can buy this much stuff, what do you want to go buy? And sort of just have it as a conversation and not role play each moment. I think that's totally reasonable. I think people give themselves too much of a hard time of needing to make everything a story beat. I don't think it needs to be a story beat. That being said, if you want it to be a story beat, what you do is you make sure that in the process of them doing shopping or doing, basic travel or whatever, you have them meet an NPC that is new or re-meet an old NPC, and you make sure that that NPC has something valuable to give them. It does not need to be an object. It could be a piece of information. It could be news of things happening in nearby towns, but you want to essentially use them as a tool to foreshadow things to come. So if, for example, if it's like a tavern keeper that they saw early on in the campaign, they go back to the tavern. Maybe this time he's got an eye patch and he's like haggard looking, and he talks about how, the animals have been going crazy in the woods, but like other than that, the tavern's doing okay, but they got messed up. Now people are like, all right, wait a minute. We're going to go shopping, but like that's noticeable. And like they're also going to like feel for that character. They're also going to see like them growing. And then the other thing is, if it's a new character, a new NPC, and you make them valuable to the players quickly, and the way to make them valuable is to basically like they're selling something cool. They know how to make something. They have some information that's tied to one of the characters' backstories. Maybe they're a cleric of the same order that one of your players is, so they have some insight as to what's going on in the world. But using new NPCs as a way to like casually make the world feel alive, but in a way that is sort of wink, nod, foreshadowing the things to come. That's where my headspace usually goes.
Yeah, I would also say don't be afraid to let the players like have a bit of a, like, I understand if it drags on too long, that can be kind of, not too great. But they do have like all that gold that they want to spend. They have certain things that they want to get done. Maybe some character wants to actually use downtime, which is so infrequently used in Prime, to like get things done. So just make sure that it feels like it's coming to a natural end for them. Make sure you don't feel like you're railroading them into the next quest line immediately. Like, it's hard stops they're not really a great thing when you're a DM trying to manage your players. They should feel like they've had a comfortable amount of time to do what they need to do. And also don't be afraid to ask them what they're going to do. Like, have them, I imagine in between sessions, they're like, okay, we're clearly approaching like a town. We're out of quests. Like, now we've got some breathing room. They have an idea of what they want to do with that time. So ask them what they're planning, ask them, hey, do you guys think you're going to go like check out a magic shop? Do you think you're going to try and craft something? This gives you a chance to work out the mechanics in your head ahead of time. And then also, basically what Cinder said, give you a chance to plan out a way to breadcrumb them with the next quest. Give them plenty of opportunities, plan out multiple different ways that you can drop this little quest in front of them. And whenever it feels right in the episode, give them the one that makes the most sense for the environment that they're in. And then that way they have it. And whenever they're ready to move forward, they've got it in their back pocket and they can just pick up and continue. But definitely give them the room to like enjoy the gold that they've earned and, furnish their house or whatever. It depends on the campaign you're running, but make sure they have that time.
That's a good point. I do feel like a lot of players really do enjoy having at least a session or two of downtime sometimes. And also, if you don't ever give them downtime, this is a mistake that I would make early in my campaign. They just run out of steam. It's like if there's always a conflict, it's just like, okay, when do we take a break? When do we feel like we won? When can we take a breather? Breathers are good. All right, Firefly. You got anything else for us, or should I hang up on you?
No, I'll let I appreciate your time. I'll let one of the other callers go for now. If I think of anything else, I'll jump back in the queue.
All right. I love you.
Love you too, guys.
I try to. If anyone says they love you to me, I have to hang up on them immediately. So sometimes I gotta fish it out of them. All right, all right. Next is gonna be Mac Gun and then Saucer Bomb. For folks that are watching, if you want to call in and talk to me or Diana or both of us, realistically it'll be both of us. Join the Discord. Go into the stream waiting room. Instructions are right up there. Do not feel obligated to stay a part of the Discord after this. You can bounce out as soon as you're done. Okay, let me grab Mac Gun and then Saucer Bomb is on deck. Hi, Mac Gun.
Hello. Excuse me.
Amazing start.
You're excused, buddy. How's it going, man?
I'm all right. How about y'all?
Good.
Yeah, we are leaves upon the wind. What can we do for you today?
So, friend of mine is going to run his first ever campaign. I'm usually the DM in this situation. One of my players that I've had a couple of times is finally going to try and run his own kind of thing. And he originally challenged me to play a character, a class, as something that I've never done before. Because I'm usually big into the, like, upfront melee martial classes, fighter, barbarian, monk, etc. So this time around, I decided to play a Tabaxi Ranger. One other thing that he asked for me to do is don't play something that inherently gains flight, because he does not know how to prepare for it.
Fair.
First time DMing, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your question, bud?
I made a... We're reskinning the... what the hell's the class? The Ranger Dragon...
The
Drake
Dragon
Warden.
Range, Drake
Oh,
Warden.
that guy.
Drake
Yeah.
Warden. We're reskinning it so that it doesn't gain flight.
Wait a minute, but it doesn't gain flight till like fucking not like 9th level.
I
right?
think
Yeah,
it's...
what's the...
We were just reskinning it to be a Triceratops rather than a dragon, because
Okay.
dragons really don't exist in his setting.
Okay.
Oh.
I love you, but you are rambling. We guide us
Sorry.
towards the question, friend. Don't apologize. It's okay. I'm just here to be a guiding light.
We're trying to figure out what to replace flight with. It's like every time we try and come up with an ability, a something to replace flight, it always just seems lackluster.
Well, you said you're trying to make a Triceratops, right?
Yeah.
So why not go Triceratops? Why not make it a little faster and have a charge attack?
That was my first thought too. I would just, something else that has the same mobility vibe, or maybe a combination of a couple other small things. I mean, it's going to have like a gore attack, you know. You can copy that from the Triceratops stat block, or take a look at the elephant one, whichever is stronger. And of course, your DM's going to have the final say on this. I'm so glad that you guys are working together on it, by the way. It's nice when a DM, especially for a first timer, like works with their players on reskinning things and gets their permission. But yeah, some other sort of mobility type thing, maybe enhanced armor, something that's you can take a look at existing creatures essentially and just cobble it together, you know, collage it, whatever you feel like is the most balanced, or your DM feels like is the most balanced.
Yeah,
Triceratops.
yeah. That's what I think the move is. The move is like, don't worry about building it in a way where it's like, how do I make it be as cool as flight? Because if that's your headspace, you might never find an answer. I think the answer is to think about what it is and make it fit that. Lorith also points something out.
I think that is kind of the roadblock we're hitting.
Lorith also points something out, that the Drake gains the ability to fly at 7th level, but you cannot actually fly on it until like 15th level.
Yeah, 15th level.
And if
or
your
something.
Dungeon Master, let's be real, if your Dungeon Master isn't comfortable with you flying by level 15, there's plenty of classes that just get innate flying like way before that, and also they will be comfortable with it, because it's going to take you a long fucking time to get to level 15.
Right.
But if your issue is you just think flying is cool, and then that's the problem, then that might just be a conversation to talk to your Dungeon Master about. Be like, I really think flying is cool. Is there any way we can make it work? I like promise not to cheese the game, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
Hope that helps.
Yeah.
But also, if you gave it a little bit more movement speed and a badass charge attack, that would be friggin' cool. Maybe here's what I would actually do. Let me sell you on one more idea, and then I'm going to hang up on you before you respond. You give it a faster movement speed, you give it a charge attack, and you let that charge attack deal double damage to objects and structures. So it can, like, smash
A
buildings.
siege monster.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah,
I
man.
love that.
All right,
Yeah.
hanging up on you. All right, that's how we do it.
Love
We
it.
give them
I
love,
love-
and then we hang up before they can give it back.
Other people in the chat were like, give it a swim speed, give it a burrowing speed, give it a climbing speed. And just the thought of a Triceratops just like wiggling its way up a cliff is hilarious to me.
That is good. Fucking Matt. I made a whole... I rant about burrow speeds a lot. That's Matt giving me a hard time. Burrow speeds are overpowered, which is why it's very hard to get them. And nobody agrees with me until they think about it, and then they realize it's true. It's a fly speed, but you're invincible. You're untargetable. You have total cover, and you have almost as much mobility as flight. Let me grab... Okay, next is Saucer Bomb, and then Jono. By the way, before that, you having fun so far? Is this good? Good?
So much fun.
Okay,
This is
cool,
great.
cool.
I love talking to people.
Yeah,
I never
isn't
get
it
to
fun?
do this.
It's if you do... Okay, so minor spoiler alert. Diana has not done much streaming yet before, but she is thinking about doing it. Her audience yells at her too. And we know it's never good to listen to our audience, but this type of stuff is really fun. And I will say that having done a little bit of streaming in different directions, if you are somebody that gets energy from talking to people, then building streams around talking to people will make you have a much better time. And if you do decide to stream, I would strongly recommend trying to make it stuff that you enjoy doing regardless of anything else, because it's gonna it'll be the difference between it being fun or not. All right, let me grab Saucer Bomb, and then we're gonna grab Jono. Hey, Saucer Bomb. Ahoy hoy.
Hey, hello, hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Greetings. I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, very well. How can we help you today?
By the way, you can call me Sauce. Saucer Bomb is so long. I'm sorry.
All right, can I call you Souse?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, cool.
So I'm the guy who's running the high-level dungeon crawler. I need help making a high-level dungeon crawler.
Mm-hmm.
I need help making combat interesting. Everyone says make it more dynamic, but how? How do I turn 3 goblins in a hallway into a dynamic fight?
So when it comes to high-level combat is not my forte, so take anything I say here with a grain of salt. But when it comes to not being able to make the creatures themselves interesting, you can make the arena interesting. So things like making it so that the end game, and this is not my advice, this has been regurgitated 1,000 times on the internet, but making it so that there's an objective, something that they need to protect, for instance, or something that they need to capture. Something, maybe the room is trapped and slowly filling with water, or something is making combat harder as rounds go by. There's a lot more to think about mechanically, but it makes it a lot more interesting and gives players the ability to use something that's not just combat stuff during combat. They can use their utility spells. They can think about it with some more strategy. That's just a really easy way to do it. That isn't just making the changing up the monster themselves, is alternative goals, essentially.
Turning the room or the hallway into a more significant element is the best way to do it. I agree 100%. To give a minor example, there is a campaign, I don't remember what it's called. Maybe it's actually White Plume Mountain, but in one of the modules, the start is you sort of like enter into this fort, and it's you're fighting like 3 or 4 hobgoblins, but the way the fight is set up is you have to walk down an L-shaped hallway, and at the end of the hallway is a room, but all along that long hallway, there are tiny little arrow slits, so they can very easily shoot arrows out at you, but it's harder for you to hit them, and you have to get all the way around the L to like come into the room to fight them. And that is literally just the shape of a hallway that makes it a dynamic fight. So it doesn't even need to be crazy. It can just be like you can strategically build a defensive position and have the players try to strategize engaging with that. So yeah, big agree.
Defensive architecture.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, man. Anything else?
No, I think that'll also help the dungeon itself feel more like a dungeon. It'll make it feel like it's made to defend itself. Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Cool. No problem. Thank
Awesome.
you for the call. Souse.
Love you. Bye.
Oh, fuck. He got it out before me. Son of a bitch.
It's okay to feel love, Cinder.
Is it? I don't know. I'm not used to it yet. Okay, let's grab Jono, and then Wolfgang. And guys, there's only 7 people in the waiting room right now. So if you want to join, you're gonna get on. Boop, 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 boop. There's the instructions. Go check it out. Come hang. It is a good time, I think. All right, here, Jono. What's up, dude? Jono,
who is muted. He'll be with us shortly.
We'll see. The way that I do it is I usually give them like 20 seconds.
Oh,
Hello, there he is. Hey, buddy.
sorry about that. Apparently, I was watching the stream a little bit delayed.
Yeah, it's the
I'm
nature of the
still
universe.
listening.
Could you turn your microphone up at all?
Absolutely. 1 second. Well, I can get closer to it. which
No,
I
that's
think is the problem.
perfect. That's perfect.
There we go. Let me get nice and
Oh yeah, now we're getting
nice and
cozy.
intimate. There we go.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Okay, I actually have something to say to the previous caller about the problem, which is I highly advocate for the use of danger puddles.
Someone was just saying that in the chat.
What's-
Just literally like an acid pool.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
That was literally me. So whenever you in video games, whenever you're fighting a boss or units that have area of effect, and they give you the big red circle with like, this is where it's gonna land in a few seconds. Get out, get out. That is a danger puddle.
Mm.
And so having parts of the map suddenly give some sort of indication that a big area of effect, nasty, could be a spell effect, could just be damage, is going to happen in that area. It helps keep players constantly moving simply by adding highlighted areas on the map.
That's a really good idea, dude.
like that.
I am going. So I'm running a campaign right now where D&D characters are basically stuck in a video game. So I'm just gonna use that. I'm probably gonna use that tomorrow. Just probably gonna use it tomorrow. Did you have a question though, my dear sir?
I had a few other random bits. Oh yes, well, you know me, I never come with questions, but I come with
I love a
the
random
same
bit.
question as per usual, which is, what are your thoughts? So, a quick reminder: we had a dungeon recently in my game where the whole party split into groups and all tackled the same dungeon from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
We then had it that dungeon turned into the safety zone, and they had to protect the dungeon they had just been through from a siege.
Love that.
Reactivating all the traps and now using them against their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of all of that, they were given access to an ancient dragon's horde. This game's getting to high levels. And I am the god of not prepping at all. I'm the opposite of your guest.
Someone's got to, you know.
And so the funky solution that I came to was the dragon whose element is magic and arcane nonsense. And so it's a horde of weird collectible magical items.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an almost impossible thing to sort through. So I had all the players roll their checks. I'm going to use my arcana to understand it. I'm going to use my investigation to find context clues. And they would roll up to how many 5s they got on that roll. I would read the worst random magic table I could possibly find.
Okay.
And for every, so they got 25 on a roll, I would read 5 descriptions from a random number that they rolled, and we would make up a bullshit magic item for each.
So magic items that inherently don't do anything useful, right?
No, it was, can we turn whatever was written on this nonsense table into something that makes sense?
Oh.
Okay, so are you going to read some suggestions to us?
I'm going to give you my favorite item.
Please.
That came from this nonsense exercise.
Please.
A circlet that when you put it on, you can no longer speak. You become completely mute, and you also become completely deaf to all spoken speech around you. Any words that are spoken. However, you constantly cast detect thoughts on everyone around you. With the caveat being that if you ever try and reach further into someone's thoughts, as the spell does, then you have to roll a wisdom saving throw, and if you fail, whatever you are thinking at the time is then vocalized as if it were speech.
Whoa.
That's a nuts item, dude.
That must be wild.
Oh, man. Okay.
The circlet of reverse thoughts and speech.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
First of all, it's a very fun idea. There's a part of it's also, you should also just know that is a strong item. As much as it's a silly item.
Late game, we're coming to the end boss, and
okay, that's right. Yeah, you're towards the end. The thing that people always forget about detect thoughts is that it makes you aware of all intelligent creatures around you. Like, creatures can't hide from you if they're intelligent when you have it on. You just know they're there. That's a fun idea. I like that when you fail it is the only time that you speak. And it's immediately.
You can't hear yourself either. It's like.
Yeah, I think it would probably also be a very good point to impose disadvantage on stealth checks and the same save for that, because thinking about sneaking is thinking out loud.
Oh. Wild.
All right, that's a fun one, dude. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Last thought. The guard goes to his captain and says, "How did you find him hiding in the barrel?" And he said, "I just suddenly heard him say quite loudly, I really hope he doesn't look in this barrel I'm hiding in."
Very, very good.
Correct.
All right, Jono, I love you.
stream.
Hung up. That's how we do. If we let him talk for too long, we got to hang up on him more quickly. That's the plan.
Got it.
All right. It's all in love, guys. Calm down. All right. Next is Wolfgang, and then Brother Chaplain Rex. And I think, if I remember correctly, let's pull Wolfgang in here. If I remember correctly, Wolfgang left a comment on one of my videos being like, "My brother wants to say something on your stream." So I'm so curious to see what that is going to be. Wolfgang, it's your turn. Unmute. Get your brother. Come on. Baba Booey. Yeet-ga-duck.
Hey,
Hey, bud. What's up?
Hey.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're
Great.
good. Pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just with my brother.
What's up?
Hello,
So
brother.
I have a little thing just I wrote down so I don't forget anything.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I'm here with my brother. This is Dutch. Hello.
Dutch. Love it.
Yeah, so I've been playing D&D for the last few years, and
Mhm.
I mean, I fell absolutely in love with it from the start. And for a long time, I've been trying to get like Dutch into it and stuff. And I want to ask both of you, what would your tips be to tips to say to someone to get them intrigued and want them to like play the game, even though they,
I would just say have them watch. A lot of people think that they have certain perceptions of D&D until they see someone else play it and see like the possibilities. Don't show them the math. The math people get stuck in the math. So don't do that. Show them the dice. Show them the pretty dice. Show them the cool minifigures. Let them watch a round or two, a session or two, a one-shot maybe. Have them watch Critical Role. Get them hooked into that fandom because everyone does eventually. Show him the possibilities and the fun parts of the game. And then the rest will just work on itself, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, D&D is sort of like sports, where like if I sit and try to describe to you the game of basketball, that's not that exciting. But if you watch basketball or play basketball, you pretty quickly can tell if you're into it. And to go off of what Diana just said, this is maybe a little bit more of an emotional thing to do. So I don't know how you feel about that. But I think a lot of the time people are hesitant to play D&D because the idea that the game is run by a person and not a game system is a little bit of an uncertainty, because there's an element of like, how do I know it's going to be fair? How do I know, like, all of these different little things that can creep in. And as an older brother, I could see them creeping in with one of my younger siblings back before, when I was living in my Eldritch kingdom. So I would also just reiterate to your brother that your goal in doing this is that you want to have fun with them and you want them to have fun. And there is an element of like, hey, little bro, I think you'll like this. Like, let me take you on a journey that I think can be very, I don't know if they're still listening, but could be very, not just helpful, but also probably they would like to hear. Like, I feel like a older brother telling a younger brother, I want to spend time with you and do this activity with you because it's fun and you're fun. Like, that means a lot. That's a good brother move.
I get that a lot. Yeah, well, I mean, when I first started getting the D&D and stuff, and I was like, I had no one to play with, so I was like, I want to play with my family. And then so I like kind of got Dutch into it, and then that was when like I was definitely not much of a dungeon master at all. I'm still not. And he was very
None
like,
of us are.
oh yeah, and he was very like, oh, this is like boring. There's like numbers and stuff, and like I was still kind of getting the hang of it.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I need to interrupt you because there was something I wanted to say and I forgot. And if I don't say it right now, I'm going to forget. I would encourage you to do all of the work for the player.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, don't make them do any numbers for, like, a session. And then once they understand what the game is, then be like, so, do you want to understand how the numbers work so you can take advantage of them? Because the difference between knowing how the game works and knowing how the game doesn't work is, like, how powerful you are. You know what I mean?
I get that. Yeah, because he was like, I mean, I think when he was, like, kind of a little bit intrigued in it, he was like, I want to play a cat person with guns who, like, is a bounty hunter or something like that, based on, like, a comic book he made. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll make a tabaxi for you. You'll be, like, a ranger or something that can, like, hunt people. And then I kind of, like, base it off from there. But then, I feel like what I really just need to get into is just kind of, just kind of like I'll take your advice, just kind of like get him into it, and then really just like make him just experience it through like the imagining side, and then really get him into the numbers and stuff.
Yeah, the least,
Perfect.
whether it's your family or whoever, the least work you can give a new player, the better it's going to be, because that is the biggest hiccup. Like, the main reason why I think people are uninterested in playing D&D a lot of the time is that the first thing that they will look at is the player's handbook, and they'll just be like, there's a lot of stuff to know, and it's like, no, only the Dungeon Master really needs to know it for a little while. Anyway, thank you for the caller, Wolfgang. I appreciate
You're doing
it.
everything right.
Oh yeah, I also want to if it's okay if I ask another question.
It is, but make it quick. I'm gonna cut you
of course.
off.
Yeah, of course. I understand. I just want to ask, what like genres and like pop culture stuff, like inspire, like books or comic books or movies and stuff or TV shows, what kind of like inspire you when you're like world building or anything, or just creating a character? Like, what's your kind of go-to, like, oh yeah, that's dope, I want to build on that?
All right, that's a good question. I'm gonna hang up on you and we'll answer it. Okay?
Sounds good. Love you guys.
Love you too.
See ya.
Oh,
Oh,
God
man.
damn it! We had a nice back and forth. I fucked up. Okay, wait. Do you take inspiration from stuff? Are you an inspiration from media person?
Not so much like TV shows and movies, although I will say the John Wick series is my absolute favorite series of movies of all time. And the fact, the idea of the Continental, for those of you who are familiar with the series, and having like different parts of the world, different people who are trained in different specialties of weapons, especially in the third movie, that's always really cool. But again, I just like a theme. I take a lot of my inspo from just art, Magic the Gathering cards, AI generated art from Midjourney, which is so much fun. And then I just work backwards from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I have definitely pulled plots. I was okay.
Really?
Yeah. This is the best one. I was running a game during COVID. We finished. We started playing. Me and a couple old friends started playing Curse of Strahd over COVID, and then we finished Curse of Strahd, and we wanted to keep playing. So I started running a campaign, and I didn't tell them, but I just made it the plot of Jaws, like exactly the plot of Jaws.
Seriously?
And I made it as close to the plot of Jaws as I could, where it was like there was a festival and the mayor wanted to keep the beaches open, but there were like Sahagwin shark attacks, and they
Oh my
didn't
God.
realize that it was Jaws until the scene where there was like a town meeting where they were going to offer to go hunt the Sahagwin or whatever. And I had some guy like rake his hands across the chalkboard and I literally word for word did the speech that the crazy old guy does in the meeting. And they all were just sitting there, and like I saw them like slowly put their faces up as they realized I had basically been trolling them for like a couple months. Because the thing is, it was like a serious campaign. Like, it was like emotional
Really?
beats. People were having feelings. But it was fine. It wasn't always Jaws, but it definitely was Jaws for a while.
That's hilarious. The payoff of those is so much fun.
Yeah. Especially if it works. Especially if they like legit had a good time too. All right. Let's see. We have a bunch of people. We have 13 in the chat. Lovely. Let me see. We have more on the show, but we have 13 in the waiting room. A bunch of you guys should join. Look at you, scaredy cats. They're all scared. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle the fury. Let me grab Brother Chaplain Rex. Well, that's a serious name. And then I'll grab Derek after that. Derek is the guy. Oh, so one of the things that I do on my stream quite a bit is a lot of homebrew stuff. So a good crew of these people are very in homebrew world. Where's it? Stream chat. There it is.
I apologize in advance for not knowing a whole lot about homebrew, but I'll do
Fuck
my
it.
best.
No, it doesn't matter. You got bringing a perspective is all. The truth of the matter is being good at reviewing homebrew comes down to being good at articulating your opinion about a thing, and in my opinion, you're pretty good at articulating your opinion about things. So
I'm
it
so
doesn't really
opinionated.
matter.
Yeah.
Brother Chaplain, what's up? You're in the chat.
Hello.
Hey man, what's up?
For Sanguinius and the Emperor.
Okay.
I love 40K too much.
Listen, be careful, you're treading lightly. I have a lot of strong feelings about the Xenos, and I'll hang up on a fucking Space Marine if he gets too in my way. But I would ask you to make your microphone a little louder, please.
How does this work?
Or just sit closer to it. Talk for a second.
Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
that's better. That's better.
Good enough.
Awesome. Oh, no, we both have the same feelings about Eldar. It's cool. It's fine.
Okay. I'm just an orc
Okay.
guy. I'm an orc till the day I die.
Based.
Go green or go home.
Based. I love Blood Angels, and we can fight forever.
And
It's perfect.
we'll have a good time. What can we
Yep.
do for you today? What's your question?
I am setting up this really big hex crawl campaign. You helped me out a lot last time with having hexes already set, but
Mhm.
going more into the macro, I have to build out this whole ocean because the players will be going out and finding treasures or items and bringing them back to their home base in order
Mhm.
to, get their pay. And I was wondering, how do I reward them, or how do I have this patron of theirs reward them without just straight up stealing the stuff? Because I'm like, oh crap! If they get like a load of like magic items or tomes and whatnot onto their boat and bring it back, what if they just decide to keep it?
The easiest answer is to make sure that the items that they're bringing back aren't useful to them. So, for instance, having an item that is only usable after a certain level, or if you're a certain class or something like that, where no one in the party has that requirement, no one has that class, level requirement. Things like you know what I'm saying. You can make it so that they're straight up like locked out of using it, or you could kind of play with the morality of it a little bit. You could make something really enticing every once in a while just to kind of see. And I'm a big fan of moral quandaries and moral conundrums. Kind of make it a little bit interesting every now and then by throwing in something that would be super useful to your characters, but that has a really high reward, either monetarily or you can reward in other ways too. Fame, favors, magic items. There's a whole renown system in the game in the DMG somewhere. So you can mix up the rewards a little bit, but just balance it out a little bit. I would say, you don't have to make it so that they always have to turn everything in. Maybe they keep one or two things, and how does that affect their contracts in the future? That's a kind of a non-answer, but you know what I'm saying.
That's not an answer. That's a great answer. First of all, the first thing you said was fucking brilliant. I just want to sit on that for a second. There are so many cool items that aren't that useful, but they're awesome. There's like powerful ones too, where it's like you can make it winter. It's like, wow, I'd almost rather have a +2 sword for the attunement slot, but that's really strong. So like you could do stuff like that. I think Diana, that gave you the move. I think that's what you do. The other thing, if you don't want to do that, if you want to make things where it's like more like just random or intentionally badass stuff, I would probably make it so their patron has some sort of like air tag feature where if the item is in close enough proximity to them, they become aware of it. So it's like if the players come within, a mile or 2 miles of the city that the patron is in, the patron gets a little ping that it's like, your magical book is on its way. And then if the magical book doesn't show up, suddenly the patron's like, you know what I mean? And in theory, their patron should be able to like push them back. And that doesn't need to be like an on or off fight. That could literally be the patron being like, so I've dealt with adventurers before. I know the deal. I know you have my book. I would love to keep working with you. If you don't give me my book, this will be the last time we will work together, and I will blacklist you for every other patron in the city. Because realistically, a patron isn't going to risk dying over a magic item. Like, they probably would be intelligent enough to like walk away, but walk away in a situation where it's like, if this happens, you're not just closing the door on this relationship, you're closing the door on every other relationship in this city that's tied to cool magic stuff. So like, if it's worth it for that book, that's mine, that I'm paying you good gold to get, it's a choice you have to make. And I wouldn't do it confrontationally at all. I would just make them be very business about it. Because at the end of the day, they're not trying to die over a magic item,
Oh yeah.
Right. I guess the secondary question to that would be a decent progression of bringing, like, you bring stuff back, I give you guys cash. I guess like what's a subtle like ramping of rewards? I was thinking of like giving the players a fort when they start off, and it
Houses
just
are
gets
always fun.
better.
Yeah,
Oh,
forts can be good. Forts can be good. There are players are going to like them or not like them. If you sell it right, players are going to like them. If you do a fort, make sure that they understand how customizable it is. They all have a room that they can make whatever they want. If they want to have secret passageways or traps, like make it fun for them. And then, but yeah, I think a fort could be good. I would also say you could sort of scale the rewards in terms of how risky the patron's journeys are that they send them on. So like the patron might be like, hey, I really want this book. It's on this island. That island is full of crazy shit. I don't really care about anything other than the book. So I am the only person that has the map to this island. So the thing you're getting is a map to the island so that you can sort of pilfer it, and then you can sort of start giving them magic item rewards because they're like finding other cool shit along the way. They just need to get that one book back to him. Forts are good. Militias are fun. Like getting people that are like in their employ can be fun too. Boats are fun. Like boat, especially if they're gonna be traveling a lot. Upgrades on their boat. Give them let them get cannons. Let them figure out how to buy arcane cannons that they can like infuse spells into, or maybe a boat that is like constantly casting gust of wind, so it's a little bit faster. Like lean into that kind of stuff.
Oh, so like give them. So it would be all right to give them a bunch of money as long as they have like bottomless pits to sink their cash into.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Make sure they have a reason to use it, and make sure that reason to use it is like useful. So like the fort idea, the fort should have some sort of beyond just they have a place to decorate, they have a place to store their stuff. Maybe other NPCs all of a sudden come to them at the fort. They're like, hey, I heard you guys lived here. I have a job for you. Make it useful still. Like don't just give them money to toss at cosmetic stuff. But yeah, essentially like just mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you for the question.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
That was great. Great question.
Yeah.
All right, next is the dear Derek. And then we're going to have Skyluck. Time check. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Solid.
All right, cool.
Check in to make sure no one needs me at work real fast, but you guys can continue on.
All right. If you when you decide you're done, no pressure to stick around.
I will leave without warning. Yeah, I'll
Don't do that. We should say
slam the...
All right, do what you need to. I will say that Hannah hung up on me.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, how rude.
Yeah, it's okay. I accept. Hey, Derek, what's up?
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
It's good. There's probably going to be more coughing at some point tonight, but okay.
Are you still sick, man?
Yeah, I don't know. Just can't shake this cough.
Oh, I'm sorry, bud. What can we do for you?
I have 2 questions. Both are more for Diana.
Okay.
My first one is, what is your favorite snack to have at the table during D&D games?
Oh man, so I'm always besides vodka. I usually playing digitally, and so I never really have snacks to share with everyone, and people don't like bring snacks to me as honor code dictates. But when I'm just by myself, I am a horrible person and I love to eat chips. So my players always see me just like hand dashing over to my mic to mute it, and then just like shoving chips down and chewing really fast, and then unmuting again so the crunching doesn't bother them. Oh my god, they have these chips called Voodoo chips. I think they're from a brand called Zaps or something like that.
I fucking love.
Please tell me you know what I'm
chips.
talking about.
I know
They're
exactly what you're talking about.
chip.
They're so good.
Holy
they're not.
shit.
They're like not barbecue chips. They're not They're
like
so
salt and
good.
vinegar and barbecues at the same time. It's like they had a love child, and the child is amazing, and I want to eat the child. It's so good.
I love them so much. They are my favorite chip. Legitimately, that's my favorite chip.
So good.
Well, question 2, my good sir.
My other question is, based off of what Cinder was saying about me making common items into higher rarity ones, what is one that you would want to see made into a higher rarity item? And I'll either say what I've already done with it or do it later.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask my players if you guys are in the chat to just I'm gonna hold up this water, and they know what I'm talking about. If you're in my Curse of Straw campaign, as long as I'm holding up this water, please like mute or something, because I don't want you guys to hear this. And then when I put it down, you can unmute again. One of my players, the same one I was talking about earlier, had the child goblin has that stuffed animal, the Strixhaven mascot toy, I believe, or some such thing. And like I said, it prevents it clings to whatever like limb that you press it up against, and you can also activate it when you're suffering from a frightened condition to end the frightened condition on yourself. Really basic stuff. The character is a warlock. And as part of his like progression through Curse of Strahd, one of the ways that his patron is going to reward him is by upgrading that stuffed animal because it's his most prized possession. The only thing this poor goblin child wants in the world is friends, and he considers the stuffed animal to be like his best friend. I'm going to upgrade that stuffed animal so that he can toss it onto the ground. And it's a bear, I believe, like a stuffed bear. He can toss it onto the ground and turn it into a real bear that levels with him for like, I don't know, like a round number of rounds equal to his proficiency bonus or something. It's not too crazy. And over time, it starts to get different stats. So it starts off as like a black bear stat block with, you know, some different features that kind of give it the essence of his warlock patron. His warlock patron's a giant slug, so it might be, you know, it leaves a trail of darkness behind it as it moves. And then after the 2 rounds are up, it hops back onto his shoulder and becomes a stuffed animal again. After a while, it progresses into a brown bear, and all of a sudden it has more powerful abilities. It looks creepier. Eventually you get up to like a polar bear. So kind of like that. I don't really make like my own homebrew items, but I will customize items or give my players abilities as they progress through a campaign. That's like the integrations that I feel are so important for a player to have.
That sounds
I'm
really
gonna
cool.
put this down now.
I was wondering if you were going to remember to keep that up the whole time.
My version of that isn't finished, but I've mixed it with the talking doll magic item that just says something, like a magic mouth, and I'm planning to turn it into this like super creepy familiar thing that
Creepy.
walks around with. Yeah, because so between the talking doll, which is already kind of creepy, and then the Strixhaven thing, and then the first name that came into my head was Little Friend.
Because that's
which
all
is
it,
very
yeah.
creepy. So yeah, I'm going creepy with it, but I really like that. I really like
Yeah.
yours too.
Cool.
Thank you. It's a
Cool,
work
that's
in
it.
progress.
All right, Derek. Thanks,
Great
man.
questions.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Derek is he's been in the round. Derek's been around for a hot second. We have like ebbs and flows of people in the community. Some folks, you know, are new and old, and Derek is like second wave. First, there's people that are first wave, like back from when I was on Twitch.
Yeah.
There's still Gladriel is one of those. Yeah, name. But Derek's second wave. Now I think we're in third wave at this point. All right, next I'm gonna get who are you? I'm gonna get Skylark. Skylark, you're up, and then we're gonna bring on Squid. But this is pretty fun, right? We just like talk to
I'm
people.
having such a great time.
And-
I got to talk about boo chips. Like already, this has been a 10 out of 10 stream.
And that's you just are responding to people, and mostly it's nice. Yeah, it's pretty chill. The homebrew review ones are more hectic because it sort of turns into me yelling at people, but it's still a good time also. Skylark, what's up? You got to unmute, friendo.
Hey,
Hello.
yeah, I was listening to the stream, and yeah, I didn't realize. I was like, oh,
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. How can we help you? Welcome.
Yeah, I just want a little bit of advice because I'm planning on running a like sort of like a martial arts tournament, and yeah, because I have like an all monk party. And I thought that would be really cool. I took some ideas from certain shows and just picked up some mechanics like gambling mechanics, maybe a little bit of mystery in there as well. Just like maybe some advice of like what to do maybe forward or what interesting monsters could work as well.
So they're all
So is it-
monks? Sorry,
well-
I interrupted you.
No, go.
They're monk multi-class.
Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
So are you trying to have it as like a PvP thing or like in a gladiator arena type thing, player versus NPC? Like what when you say a tournament, who's the tournament against?
It is it's players versus NPCs. It's them working as a team. I kind of shy away from PvP. Mostly, I feel like D&D is just not suited for it. In my world, I set up like there's like numerous dojos, so it's like kind of like I don't know if you watch Fairy Tale. There's different guilds, so it's something in that vein.
Okay. Gotcha.
Here's what I would do if I were you. Are you gonna have them fighting in? Is it gonna be like tiers of combat where it's like they have different basically like one round fighting something like are there like brackets?
Well, the first part is going to be like a Royal Rumble, and then there'll be like 14 winners. and then there'd be like brackets, and
right, so-
I kind of.
So I have two thoughts. One, if you're going to make it so there's that many things, that many characters doing stuff at the same time, I would not roll for any of them other than the ones that the players are fighting. Just narrate what's happening. You want to take up as little time as possible if you're writing like a giant combat encounter with monsters punching each other. So I would just skip all that shit. You just decide who's going to win those fights beforehand, or only change it if the other players get involved. And then the other thing that I would do is, in the same way that they are a team, I would encourage you to build teams. So have like have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crew, have like a band where they're all like punk rockers, or like give them all different vibes, sort of like the Warriors, where they're all like that way you can kind of mush them together in your head. So you're thinking about, you don't need to describe every single person doing every single fucking thing. You can just be like, the guys with baseballs are beat the guys with giant elbows or whatever. And then the other thing that I would do is pre-plan as much as possible everything that isn't what the players are going to have control of there, just because that is going to be a lot of you narrating stuff. And I feel like you have to be careful, especially if you're doing something like a tournament or a fight, with you taking up too much time basically playing with yourself, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean?
Everyone loves that.
Well, how I set it up was like, I set up the arena and divided it up in 4 parts. So they're going to be fighting maybe smaller mobs, and then if they choose to go somewhere else, they go to another part of the map. They go to a different part, like a different.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I would not worry about what's happening in those different parts until they get there. Like, don't worry about it. And then I would make all of those different parts very thematically different feeling.
Right.
Also give the rivals like proper characteristics, beyond just basically what Sally said, but also give them good personalities and plan out how they're going to interact with your party. Things like, that's a really good opportunity to introduce rivals. Maybe some guy's just absolute scum, but he's winning the tournament up until a certain point, and the players are like, man, I hate this guy, like I want to take him down. Other people might just be super friendly, and they might have like great sportsmanship. You might have them catch someone cheating. So, like, social encounters really kind of make it more interesting than just people beating each other for however many sessions.
Dude, having someone cheat, that's such a good idea. Oh my god. Bangers, my dude, coming in with the fire. That's the piece of advice to take away from this conversation. Have some of them cheating and let them like be able to figure out who. I like that so much, dude. Yeah. Cool. All right, Scarlark, thank you for the question.
No problem.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
All right, dear, have a good one.
Hey.
Click. That was Skylark. Oh my god, that is just to sit on that point for a second. That is so thoughtful to, like, okay, if you're going to be doing like 6 different fights right after another, that is going to get boring regardless of what the fight is. So you have to throw in some role play. And the cheating is such a good idea, dude.
I've always wanted to do like a tournament style, like start to a campaign, everyone's chucked into, even as the beginning parts of a campaign, no one knows each other. None of the players know each other. They've all been imprisoned and sent to fight for other people's entertainment in this one gladiator style pit. And they've all been put on the same team. I've always wanted to do that as a campaign start, but I'm not creative enough to figure it out beyond that. But if anyone does that, let me know. That'd be sick.
I don't want to take up too much time, but I will say that literally is the campaign that I'm running right now for my home game.
Oh shit, nice.
The title of the campaign that I call it Battle World, and it is basically the Hunger Games plus Jurassic Park. The plot is that they are all super badass people from very different regions or different dimensions that have been teleported against their will to a floating island that has different sectors that have different like environments and like monsters roaming and like bosses. So like if they're in a part of if they're in like a section, it's very video gamey, but it's like meta video gamey because they are playing characters that are discovering the rules of the video game that they've been forced to play, if that makes sense. But it's so much fun. And the best part so cool. is they met a character who's a necromancer, and he's like super evil, and every single time he says anything, I always say they're always like Withersby, you coming with it? And he goes, oh yes, I'll be there. Just give me a minute. Like, he just says everything super evil. and he doesn't do anything. The joke is the joke is that he's powerless because he has no corpses. So he's just eagerly waiting for them to kill humanoids or die so that he could start to have his power. But he just walks with them and says creepy stuff. It's great. But
I love that.
yeah, battle world. That's what I'm doing tomorrow night. All right. It's a lot of fun, dude. If you ever are trying to play a game like that, it really allows you to really lean into the anything can go into this, because that's sort of the point.
For, you know?
Yeah, it's so much fun. All right, let me grab. Wait, we got Squid, and then we have Xena. I don't know how to pronounce the rest of that. Xena, something in the middle. Satyr.
Huh.
Apologize for
Zenago the Satyr.
I'll try it. We'll try it again later. You probably did a better job than I did just there. Let me grab Squid. Boop.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
It's pretty good. So my question is a quick one that every DM has to deal with at some point. I have a player that is metagaming the hell out of my game. Usually I know how to deal with this. I talk to the player and get him to basically stop it, especially if it's game breaking. But the thing about this guy is he's the only one that's experienced in my party, and the other three are pretty damn new. And he always gives like an explanation in game for why he's doing what he's doing, so the other players don't know it's metagaming and it's not breaking their game. So I'm like, should I like intervene in some way, or should I just like let it go? Because it's annoying for me, but for the other players it's basically just fine.
What did he say when you confronted him about that? I'm curious.
Basically it's like, oh yeah, I notice I'm like not doing it on purpose, but I'll stop, I'll try to pay attention to it, and he doesn't do it as much for like a session or two or three, and then he just starts going again.
So here's the thing about metagaming. He might not be doing it on purpose. You know, trying to assume the best is not always a good idea, but it's a good starting point. With metagaming in particular, once you have knowledge, it is harder than people think to pretend you don't have it.
Yeah, no. Like maybe it'll be better if I give an example of how he's metagaming, because like there's different types of metagaming, but what he's doing is basically like he's a cleric, and his main way of fighting usually is to cast Spectral Guardians and just run in there. He's built basically like a tank.
Okay.
But then he knows, like, for example, we fought a Banshee the other day, and he tried his Channel Divinity, and it didn't work because they saved, or don't really remember the specifics, and then he just like stayed just outside of 60 feet, and for the first time in forever summoned his weapon, like his divine weapon, to fight an enemy. Like that's,
I feel like
for me
I don't
that's
know.
annoying, because like he knows that the range for the screech is like 60 feet.
Yeah.
So he just stays right outside, and then for the first time in forever there's a divine weapon.
I have a you first.
Yeah, go for it.
No. Listen, you are the show here.
With clerics and undead things, it's a little bit difficult. I always operate under the assumption that they know what an undead creature looks like, and they know inherently when to use anti-undead things. But when it comes to things like knowing the 60-foot radius of a creature's obscure ability, that's shitty. That's kind of like not great. That's where you start to really get concerned about genuine like metagaming, like knowing stats, knowing weaknesses, knowing vulnerabilities, knowing strategies. I usually get around that by just reskinning everything I come across. So none of the creatures that I ever play look like what they're meant to be, except for like the occasional small creature like a goblin or an ooze. In one of my recent games in Curse of Strahd, the party ran up against functionally a gazer. You know, those really tiny little beholder things.
I love those guys.
They're cute, and I reskinned it so that it looked like a spectral baby for Death House. For those of you who know it was real creepy at the time, I promise you. And so, like, looking at that, you can't guess what the stat block is. Like, looking at just a spectral baby hovering in the air, you're like, fuck, I don't know what this is. So just reskinning it, you don't have to do that much effort. It might get a little weird if you're following a module and having to follow the story, and a certain creature has to.
It's full-on homemade homebrew campaign.
Yeah.
To go off of what Diana said and expand on it further, I think the other thing is, if they genuinely don't think they're metagaming, but you think that if you think they are metagaming and they're just saying they're not, or they're doing, even if they're doing it unintentionally, I would change the monster stats. Like maybe instead of the Banshee having a whale that is a 30-foot radius, what if the Banshee has a whale that's a 60-foot cone?
Exactly.
Or what if instead of the troll stopping regenerating on fire and acid, it stops regenerating on, you know, cold and lightning? You can just change stuff. That's what I would do. Because that's also kind of, for two reasons. One, if they really are metagaming unintentionally, that will just stop it and it will no longer be an issue. And if they are metagaming intentionally, you will immediately know that they're metagaming intentionally because they will immediately respond to being like, that's not how banshees work. And you'll be like, I thought you weren't metagaming. And then you'll have that look, but something like that.
Which
But seriously.
won't make the situation amazing, but like at the very least to get them to admit.
No, you don't want to turn it into a confrontation. But that's what I would do. I would tweak the monsters. I would tweak monsters.
And it can be fun too.
The fear I have with tweaking the monsters is that because the other three are new, I don't want to fuck with the balance of the monsters.
You don't need to make it unbalanced. Just make it different.
I mean, like, I've been homebrewing, like, starting on homebrewing monsters and classes and shit, and you're probably going to see some show up in the Wheel of Good Fucking Luck.
Nice. I'm excited. But
I'm pretty bad at balancing. Like, that's my main issue I have.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you said the 30-foot radius for the screech becomes a 60-foot cone. But then I'm like, is that still balanced? Because 30-foot radius for a reason. Like, the 30-foot radius is basically so people can get in, beat the shit out of it if they can, and then next turn just get the fuck out. If you have a 60-foot cone, you can't do that anymore.
I'm struggling to find it right now, but the Dungeon Master's Guide has guidance on how to adjust creatures in specific ways without changing their challenge rating. You basically just look at another creature of the same challenge rating and swap abilities out for each other, so that way you're not making it inherently harder or easier. I can't find it specifically right now, but I think if you start looking up challenge rating in the back of the DMG and looking at the pages that it indexes, that might be a good starting point for you. But I would say don't be too afraid to mess with things like that. Really, it doesn't impact things as strongly as you would think, as long as you're evenly swapping one ability out for another or trying to maintain
swapping between creatures is actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely going to go into the backpack.
And it sounds like you're pretty comfortable with experimenting with homebrew, and as long as you are keeping it not too hectic, you're not gonna do anything too. It's not gonna get too cray. The reason why I think a 60-foot cone and a 30-foot radius sphere are the same is they take up basically the same area on a battle map. So it's more of like which is situationally better to stand in. But if you actually do the math of the squares that are affected, it's almost the same. Fun fact. Cool. But yeah, I think Diana's advice is the move. I think take inspiration from the other creatures that exist in that space and make that shit something unique so the player won't know what they're expecting.
Yeah. Definitely will do that.
Cool. Thank you for the
Best
question.
of luck.
Thanks, and thanks.
Click.
That's always a shitty situation. I hate metagaming. I hate it so much. I have so many homebrew rules in my campaigns that are just specifically to counteract that. Things like rolling death saving throws behind the screen, and
I love the death saving throws behind the screen thing. I love that.
it's much fun. There's no reason not to do it, really. I feel like
players get scared. That's why not to do it. I'm very lucky that I have very few players that metagame. I have one player that metagames crazy, and he is super Ukrainian. Like he is just the most. No, not Ukrainian, Albanian. Oh, he's gonna be so mad if I.
Oh boy.
He's gonna be so mad that I mix that up. But he is like, I don't know if you know many Eastern European people, but there is a very much like, this is how it is, just so you know, kind of vibe with a lot of Eastern European people. It's through the harshness of being an Eastern European. And he does, this is almost every time that I do this, where I'm like, I make a monster a little different, he'll be like, wait a minute, that's not how it works. And then he'll like sit for a second and he'll be like, I did it again. Like he immediately knows, and it's not like he's upset. He approves, but you can watch him go through that whole process. Yeah, metagaming is hard because it really breaks the trust. Is sort of what it comes down to. It's like, as a player, I need to trust that you as a dungeon master are going to take care of me, and you as a dungeon master need to trust that I'm going to try to be true to like the character in the story. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such a big obstacle when it comes to forever DMs who want to be on the other side of the table, where it's like, well, shit, I know everything about the game. Like, I can recognize these creatures on command. How do I pretend that I don't have this info? So yeah, I am aware that accidental metagaming is a thing. It's a hard thing to navigate, but really, reskinning is like the absolute best arsenal in your weapon to circumvent that. And I see Lucerne in the chat was like saying that page 273 of the DMG is the one I was looking for that says how to fuck around and still calculate CRs accurately.
Let's
So
go. Let's go. Thank you, Lucerne. Yeah, I either play really dumb characters or characters that are super magically knowledgeable to sort of try to do that for myself. Like, I made a character once who, like, the whole character was built around they know a lot about monsters. So it was okay that they were knowledgeable about monsters because that was, like, the way that I built them. But I mostly play big, dumb, beautiful barbarians. That's usually how I do it. Let's bring in somebody else. This is Xenogas the Satyr. And then we're going to have Name.
Name?
Name.
Oh, yeah, name. Sick.
A rose by any other. Hey, Xenogas. What's up, cowboy?
You are muted, my friend.
Cowfolk.
Hello.
Ahoy, hoy.
All right. I don't know if you figured out the name, but it's Xenagos the Satyr. He's a character from Magic the Gathering.
Ah, yes.
So he's like the god of chaos on the Greek-inspired world.
Okay.
Anywho, to get to the question, I require a little bit of a pitch, but I'll keep it brief. So I'm a first-time DM.
We'll cut you off if it gets too long.
Alrighty, sounds good. I'm a first-time DM, and the basic idea of my campaign is my players live in between two mountains, and they're running up and down the mountains chasing a Earth Genasi rogue who is stealing spell components all through this valley for mass sleep spell. And the sort of twist is that the mass sleep spell is not directed at any of the towns or the people, but at the ground beneath them, because the two mountains are the wings of an earthquake dragon. And so he's trying to keep the dragon asleep for another 1,000 years. How do I make that pitch feel like that twist feel sincere and make them trust this rogue who's been stealing from their friends and family this whole campaign without it being just, oh, haha, I got you, sort of DM laughing in your face?
Oh.
You could have it
That's a
yawn.
Or if they somehow find a way to go to, does the rogue have a home base?
He kind of does. It's like a pocket dimension.
Okay, I would make it somewhere a little more accessible if they haven't found it already, or if they don't already know that it's a pocket dimension. You still have plenty of time to like change it around after the fact. Make it so that they can come across it, find it while tracking the guy at some point, and find his notes about and like how he put it together. You know, a cork board with red string everywhere. You know, kind of describing that it is a dragon. And then they have the choice of whether or not to believe him, or you know, you can kind of put it on the precipice there of like, is this guy actually trying to help, or is he just fucking crazy? You know, trying to add a little bit of like distrust still by giving them the opportunity to believe him.
Man, that's a good idea. I was going to go right into the deep end. I was saying make the dragon like roll over in its sleep. Make there be an earthquake. You know, make one of the mountains crack and have them be on an adventure hunting this guy, and then suddenly there's a giant fissure and they have to save a village for a little bit. But I would actually hold off, and I would do Diana's suggestion first. Let them question.
All right. Thank you so much. That's wonderderful.
That's a really cool idea for a story, by the way. Really cool.
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah, man.
All right. Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
That I fucking love that. That there's because it's such a mundane adventure. Like it's like a guy running on stealing spell components. Like that's so feet on the ground, but it's tied to like the mountain is a dragon that's asleep. I think that's a cool idea. It
is a really nice idea. I like that a lot. Anything that like slowly unweaves into a massive plot is so cool.
When you're running game, we'll get to Name your next, and then Johnny J. But I wanted to offer that, Diana. When you're running games, how much are you thinking about like the macro versus the micro?
Oh, I'm always thinking about the macro. Everything, every quest, every NPC has some tie in to the main campaign at some point, because I really don't like it when campaigns feel like just a series of side quests that aren't really going anywhere. And so I try and make it so that everything progresses the plot at least a little bit in some forward direction.
Do you have like a when you're running a game like that? Do you run your games with like an end goal in mind? Like this campaign will end, or do you run campaigns like this campaign will end when we get tired of it?
Oh, I always go for like a massive end goal. Again, because I only run the published modules, really, just reskinned. But I beef them up a little bit with like side quests, player integrations, player quests, things like that. And so, yeah, in general, everything has like a grand end goal. Otherwise, what's the point in sticking around? You know, like I feel like I try and, as someone who has such a hard time scheduling and getting people to stick with the game, every motivation to stick with it and see it through to the end helps out. So having an end to see out would be, I try and always have one.
I think it makes sense. I struggle to do that. I tend towards the sprawling forever, and I know that it's not ideal, which is part of why I'm running this Battle World campaign, actually, because I'm trying to not do that as much. But I tend to be like, oh, and then we go on, and then we go on, and then we go on, and then somebody moves and we stop playing.
And that's some people's style, you know, that works.
I have a group I play with who everyone lives in pretty different places, and it was the group we played Curse of Strahd with, and that's the game that we play now. Basically, the plot is they are a band, and they are trying to win the battle of the bands in every dimension.
Oh my god. Okay.
So you can just make any dimension, and then you don't have to worry. You know, you could do the basic ones, but you just can do weird ones too. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, let me grab. Let's grab name, and then Johnny J.
All right.
How's your energy? Are you still chilling? Are you still having a good time?
Still chilling. I think I'm still not needed at work.
All right, cool.
Find out.
Hey, name, what's up?
Hello.
You're so
Yeah,
quiet. Why are you so quiet?
I don't know. I don't know how to fix that. I'm trying.
You just did.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Are you just trolling, my friend?
Not usually.
You're always trolling. All right, how's it going, buddy?
I am doing good. I have a sort of question on trying to make my stuff feel unique. Specifically, I'm still making my druid.
Ooh.
I'm making a druid.
Mm-hmm.
And it is at a glance similar to the Spores druid.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to avoid its spell list entirely to kind of prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the spells that I kind of am stuck with is I might still want to take one specific one. In this case is Contagion.
Mm-hmm.
But I worry that I'm too much on like stepping on the toes of stuff. Is there a good way to make sure that I'm not doing that in general?
Does Contagion need to be on the spell list, or could you make it a part of the core class and let you cast it in a unique way?
I've already kind of made the feature, so I'm just at this point like just putting.
Is it the only spell? Is it the only spell that is the same?
It's the only spell that's the same.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a better question for your DM. Like, they have the end say, but
I mean, I'm the one making it, and I'm the.
Oh,
DM,
so you're. Oh, I see. You're not building a character.
I make a bunch of weird stuff. I'm making a druid of rot, so a circle of rot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, especially if you're using a bunch of homebrew spells in there, I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was something the other night when I was reviewing Pokey9er's Warlock, and it felt very similar in vibe to the Undead Warlock. But the only reason it felt that way was because it was a similar theme, and then one feature, not one spell, one feature felt very similar. And I think having a similar spell list in a little bit is okay. I would push back on you if you found yourself having any core features that really felt like Spore Druid's features, because that's when it starts to be like, what's the point? And whenever we're writing homebrew, that's the question we have to ask.
Yeah, I've avoided stepping on the features explicitly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Still got to write another spell, but.
I mean, I think having one is fine. I might still bring it up if I end up reviewing it because I never remember what I say and I'm a hypocrite. But
no, it's fine.
Okay,
but cool. it's literally the only overlap.
And I'm sure it'll be fine.
Okay.
No one's ever gonna fucking cast it anyway. It's a garbage spell.
You don't like Contagion?
I love it conceptually. I've never seen it used in play well or successfully.
My whole thing is going to be about poisoning people, so
I'm pro that. The way Contagion works is not designed for fun, unfortunately. In my opinion.
Okay.
It takes too long. It takes too long to do anything. You don't want to wait fucking 5 turns or whatever.
Yeah,
do crazy
that's
shit.
fair. That's fair. It's
Contagion
just,
is the spell that an NPC can use or a player can use if they have a plan. It's a good spell for a class list. I don't, but it's one of those ones where it's like, you know, it's like walk on water. It's nothing until it's something, you know?
Yeah, I also needed to be SRD compliant because I've been trying to do that.
Yeah, you got to S that D. All right, sorry, that was inappropriate. Goodbye, name. I'm hanging up on you. I love you. All right. I don't know where that came from. Johnny J, you're going to be next. All right, let's just move past that joke. And then Lorith will be here. Let me grab Johnny J. So Name is a guy who's a homebrewer, and he's making a bunch of new spells and sort of writing new spell lists. So it's like there's the School of Rot and the School of Dreams and the School of Earth and stuff. And all the spells have fucking crazy different mechanics that like I'll give you an example. So there's one that like you get like super perception for a minute, but you're blind for that minute, but it's not concentration and you can't turn it off. So it's like you are committing to being blind for a minute, but you have an incredibly powerful perception for that minute. So it's like a lot of like give and take spells. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird ideas. All right, I'm gonna grab
before
Johnny.
You
yeah.
The next person, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real fast.
Go,
so
get
I'll
out of
let
here.
your audience stare at my furniture for.
I'll take
a
up.
quick sec.
I'll take over the screen. Let me move you. Get out of here. You're little now. And I am big. Behold me. Behold me. Are you guys having fun? Chat. Diana seems pretty nice, right? Isn't she cool? Smart fucking person. Fun ideas. Behold me. Why am I okay? I don't actually want to be this big. I want to be regular big. Is there a Discord channel where I can ask questions about Homebrew to see if it already exists? Yeah, there's a bunch of Homebrew channels in the Discord. There's one called Homebrew General. It's probably the best place to ask. Or D&D General would probably be fine for just asking if something exists. Yeah, she's super chill. Into the beheld. We are beholding. Oh, I'm so glad. Guys, okay, I know what we can talk about. So tomorrow, I don't know when, but tomorrow I'm going to be streaming. It's not on the schedule because I don't know what time it is yet, but tomorrow I'm going to be streaming playing some games, and I want to tell you guys something kind of exciting. I am going to start doing some streaming with 2 other pretty cool YouTubers. Starting, I think, this week or next week, I'm going to be streaming with Blaine Simple and Davy Chappie. We're going to be doing some gaming together, so y'all should come to that. And then the other thing was that I am commissioning artists. So if you are an artist and you are looking for work, I am looking to collect commissioned art of my character portrait, the face with the flowers. So if you email me at the email on my YouTube, cinderbsally@gmail.com, with your rates and your portfolio or your Instagram or whatever, and how long your turnaround time is, let me know, because I want to redo my title screens and stuff, and I want to make weird music videos out of like a shit ton of different artist interpretations of my big head. So if you're an artist, let me pay you money. And I said it in the thing, but I am not looking for free work. So if you say I'll do it for free, I will probably not respond to that email. So tell me what your rates are. Know what your rates are before you message me. I'm not going to figure it out for you, but there's plenty of ways to figure out what you want. It's sort of whatever you want. But yeah, I'm looking for artists. Okay, and we are back. Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome. You didn't miss much. I was just pitching shows and stuff.
Oh, sick.
Oh yeah, sick. Nasty.
Promo.
You got to do the promo. Speaking of promo, have you guys followed DianaoftheRose yet? Click on the things down there. I put the name under her picture. Okay, we're gonna do John. We have Johnny J, and then we have Loreth. Ooh, my speech impediment comes out a little bit when I say that person's name. Loreth. All right. Let's grab Johnny J. Johnny J.
Hey, sorry for making you wait.
Howdy.
How's it going, bud?
Living it up. How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah. What can we do for you?
Well, you know what? Let's set the tone. Let's set the mood. Okay, let's close our eyes. Let's imagine.
All right, I have my finger over the band button.
Thank you. I will close my eyes hesitantly.
What's up? What's up? Yeah. All right. I can't. It's impossible for it to close my eyes. I have too many.
No problem. And imagine yourself in your favorite dungeon master's table, and in the middle of the table is a big bowl of Zapp's voodoo chips.
Okay.
And you're about to make your first roll on your first character. What is something that you're thinking about right now? What do you want your character to be? Who do you want it to be? Like, where are you when you create your characters? Is basically what I'm asking. Like, where do you go to do that? Like, do you imagine like your previous characters, or do you imagine like something that you've seen that you want to replicate? Where do you usually go to make your characters?
Okay, I have an idea, but I want to hear Diana first.
I'm one of those people who makes characters backwards. I think of a nice backstory, and then I form fit a character to mesh that in. I'm sure Gina said the same thing, wasn't it? Like last week or same vibe. So my first ever character was someone who, elf druid. I just liked naturey themes, and so I was like, okay, well clearly I got to be a druid. Elf makes sense. And then I wrote out a whole character backstory, and that's what determined her subclass. So it's whatever sounds like a good idea at the time.
So from the backstory forward. Okay.
I usually want to know about the game world the story takes place in. And then I try to use a class in a way that feels different than the way you would normally interpret it, to see if I can make it fit that game world in a weird way. It is sort of like a game I play. Like if I can think of a cool way to express a barbarian that doesn't feel at all like a traditional barbarian, but fits the lore of a world really well, or the lore of a Dungeon Master's game, that's what I'm going to do. In my experience, both as a Dungeon Master and a player, the more I can tie my character into the game and the setting, the more fun I have. Because the Dungeon Master seems way more eager to like mesh what is up with me into the world. It's a lot easier for me to like have things that I care about and can reflect on. And even on some occasions, it sort of kind of becomes a thing where it's like, the DM is like, cool, so you're going to be from this thing, from this people. Like, what should we have these people be? And you can do like collective world building a little bit.
Collective world building.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So much fun, by the way. Anytime that as a DM, a character, someone creates a character, and they're like, hey, I give them full creative liberty for the most part, but then, they come up to me and have me help fill in the gaps, everything from the town they grew up in to major, like guilds and stuff they would have known that they, as a character, would know about. And I even give them like a birthday. So that's always fun. So collaborative stuff is the best.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Well, because that's the whole game, right? Like the whole game is collaborative storytelling. And it helps you remember that you're all on the same page. I think some groups don't need to be reminded of that, but I think sometimes you do.
I've been working as a professional DM, and I find that new people don't know where to start. Like they just, they get kind of stuck, and that's kind of.
If a player is totally new, which happens with me on occasion, what I will do is I will show them a bunch of pictures and say, which of these do you think would be the most fun and is the coolest? And then we use that to inspire them, because you can if you get 6 different pictures of a druid, you can get a pretty good vibe of what like a druid is going to be. And you don't need to worry about mechanics at all. You can just be like, does that look cool? It's like, yeah, all right, cool, let's do it. Yeah.
I love that idea. I used to have a slideshow of every single race, every single class. And then I was like, all right, you don't know any of the stats. I'm not going to tell you the stats. It's too complicated. Just choose what sounds fun.
Yeah.
So the best way to do it.
All right. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys are inspiring. Thank you.
Oh, you are inspiring. That's very sweet. I accept that. That was a nice compliment. That didn't make me cringe. Usually they make me cringe. Rebecca Sorrows wanted to know where you got your dress from.
Oh man, it's from Shein. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I think if you just look up summer dresses on Shein, you'll probably find it. It's pretty popular.
All right. Don't know what that is, but I accept that it exists. Shein.
It's fast fashion. I'm one of those. I broke girls.
What is okay? I am ignorant. I have a hole with a tarp that I go to, and that's mostly where I spend my time. What does fast fashion mean?
It's essentially like people get really up in arms about the morals behind where they get their clothes from. And so, people like me who are broke as hell will buy like a $2 shirt from that's probably made in a sweatshop somewhere. And we all know it. And we all like kind of pretend not to know it. Shein is infamous for having like really, not great working conditions, but really cheap clothing. And so
Mm.
when people don't have a choice, they kind of end up buying that, and that's like contributing to the problem or whatever.
Okay.
And then on the other end of it is like buying clothes that are, you know, a $25 to $50 shirt from a small business or something. And it's like, yeah, we don't want to support, you know, fast fashion, but some people just straight up do not have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like a weird thing that I try not to get into too much.
I just set the bar really low for myself so that
Mm-hmm.
nobody expects me to wear anything other than garbage people clothes, and then I
But that's-
never have to worry about it.
Amazing. Yeah. If I could, I would just wear the same thing every single day and go full NPC with it. So I
Yeah.
respect the garbage clothes aesthetic.
No, the world's an unjust place, full of injustice. We can only listen. You can't always beat the ocean, but you can pull a couple people out of the tide. You know what I mean? Let's grab let's grab. I don't know where that came from. Let's grab Loreth, and then let's grab and Galadriel will be next. Loreth. Oh man, I wish your name didn't end in a th like that. Hey, what's up? Loreth.
So,
How's it going?
Hey.
well, okay, how are you?
Very well. What can we do for you today?
Okay, so I am a nervous person, so when I try and speak things from mind, I just can't. So I've written it down, so I'm just going to read that. If it sounds
Yeah, man.
artificial, that is why.
Don't listen. A lot of people write stuff down before they come on. There is what that's called is planning. There's no shame in planning.
Yeah. All right, so get into it. Bit of background. I am running a campaign in a setting where there is a magical field around the material plane
Mm-hmm.
that inhibits spells from being able to move items and creatures in and out of the plane. This
Okay.
is caused by an artificial twist in the ley lines as a way for an interplanar military group to protect the material realm from an invasion from the far realm. My question is, what are some ways that I can have that reality impact the player's daily life in game beyond their spell casting and feature mechanics?
Oh. So it'll make certain things more rare, right? So anything that's from a different plane, materials, races, people, items, those are instantly going to become like extremely treasured historical objects. They came from a time before the wall essentially was created. I'm just going to call it a wall for simplicity's sake. So things like, you know, quests that would involve fetching and finding and fetching those items, or preserving them, or, you know, using them for their own means, that is already like a really solid source of plot hooks. I'm sure that's a really juicy idea. Honestly, I like it a lot. Cinder, what are your thoughts?
I also go into the idea of like, what about the creatures left behind? So like, how are other planar creatures that are essentially stuck on this side treated? And how are what happens to the people that got stuck on the other sides? Like, are people lost to this? So there's an element of like, when did this cutoff happen, and how has that affected the world? Like, what if in the past there was a city that part of it existed in the Feywild, part of it existed in the material, and then when that cutoff happened, like half the city like fell to ruin because the towers were being held up by Fey magic. Or if it is the kind of thing where, depending on how political you want to get with it, you could do a thing where it's like, what if the people in charge are like, we saved the kingdom by rounding up all those evil Fey creatures, and there's like Fey creature internment camps, and it's like, there could be an element of like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Like, yeah, there are a bunch of like hags and quicklings and stuff, but like, should we lock them up, or should we like give them the Sylvan Forest or something? So you could lean into that in terms of like the political feelings about these creatures, and whether that's coming from a direction of like prejudice or understanding or fear. You could get really into some hectic stuff with that. But I would lean into that. And then the other thing is, whenever you create a system where it's like, this doesn't work in this world, then I think the other question to ask yourself is, or the way to end that is to say accept, and then know what that exception is, because that exception is going to be really important or powerful. Like, if there is one portal, if there is one teleportation circle in the realm that still has access to the planes, that is going to be the most secret, protected, hunted after, sought after thing, you know? So it becomes like it can become like a pretty integral plot point if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing I would want to point out, and this might be really high concept, so you might want to stay away from this entirely, but you might have to think about what happens to people after they die. Because I think canonically in the D&D, your soul goes to whatever plane either your god inhabits, or whatever plane matches your alignment the closest. So depending on how long this thing's been going on, if it still affects souls as well as physical objects and physical people transporting across realms, that would be a good rule to think of. Maybe that's your exception. Like, yeah, maybe you can only travel to other planes when you die. Or if it still inhibits souls and you can't travel to other planes even after you die, how does that affect people of the faith?
Yeah, that's true. I bet it would be fucking haunted as shit.
Yeah.
I did not think about that. I'm going to really enjoy diving into that.
There might be whole religious sects that are built around how to care for the undead. Like there could be whole clergies that are about like where it's like people that work at graveyards, like it's almost like running a nursing home instead of running a graveyard, where it's like they have to host community events or like activities, and there's ones that do a really good job of like catering to the undead. Like you could have towns where it's like little happy little town in the most dangerous part of the world, but it's safe because they treat their undead really well, and the undead are just like, we fucking kill everybody that fucks with this town. Or you could have like a weird warlord that is like that is sort of like trying to use them as like a workforce, like an eternal workforce. I don't know. You could do a lot of stuff with that. That's a really good. I like the souls thing is really good. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Those are my thoughts. I have no more.
All right. Thank you. I will not take up any more of your time.
All right. Love you. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye. There we go. All right. That's a fun thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought about was like, functionally, that's how Barovia works, as written. I think in that one, the souls get reincarnated into new bodies and whatnot, but that's a little derivative. So you might want to have a different route with that. But that'd be a really good place to look for the idea of a isolated plane.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I ran a game where conjuration magic turned off for a while, and the plot was sort of they had to figure out how to turn it back on, and that, other planar travel was a part of that. But I also just had it affect every conjuration spell. So like, but they knew that going in. So like, I had a player be like, I want to be a character that like is a conjuration wizard that is like intentionally sort of like struggling with that conjuration isn't working. So they could do like really minor versions of conjuration, but a lot of the plot was like, what is this thing that is dampening the conjuring? Because conjuration is just teleporting stuff places, basically.
Yeah.
All right, should we do another? Gladriel?
I'm so down for another.
Gladahedral? All right. Okay, time check. It's been 2 hours. You good? You want to keep going? All right. I don't, if it's annoying that I ask, I'll stop. I just want to check in.
No, that's cool. I appreciate the check-ins.
All right.
I'm going to pour some more water. I'm gonna mute myself. So
I always forget. That's when I forgot to talk to. Okay, so folks at home, whenever we do these streams, I talk to the person beforehand, and I try to like tell them what the vibe's going to be, and I forgot to tell Diana to get water, but she already knew.
Oh yeah, I got tons. It's to replace all the sweat from being on live. Hello.
Hello.
What's up, Glad?
Nothing much. I'm just trying to figure something out.
Yeah, what can we help with?
So last week, my D&D group had like one of the best sessions of D&D ever.
Amazing.
Like to the point, I think 3 out of the 6 players were crying at one point.
Oh, we love that.
But I am trying to figure out how to keep that momentum going to the next session. And I'm not sure how to accomplish.
Was it a sad cry or a happy cry, or like a resolution cry?
It was like a melancholy cry. The situation is a bit morbid, but they're going on an adventure to fix the morbidness.
Okay. So my advice, and this is a bit of warning, is you don't have to necessarily chase the heightened feelings of a campaign. If you think about, what do they call it? Everything that they teach you about in lit class or whatever with hero's journey and like the climax of something. And then,
Joseph Campbell, the something, right?
I have no idea. The soup guy?
Yeah, the soup guy.
So you don't want to have heightened emotions all the time. It dilutes the experience. It can cause exhaustion as far as the story goes, and you want to be able to start over and build up a different type of high, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't cling too strongly to the idea of constantly of like trying to, unless it makes sense and the climax isn't over yet, of trying to keep that thing rolling, because it can be exhausting for you, it can be exhausting for the players, and it's holding yourself to a standard that you might not be able to attain, and that's not healthy. You want to be realistic about the game and how it progresses.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I just agree. I think that diversity of pace is good, giving people a second to like catch their breath. Having a beach day episode is sometimes like really important. So I agree. I don't think you need to worry about it that much.
Well, they just blew up the beach, so we're rolling into a heist.
Okay, I mean, heist is a very different vibe. That could be a lot of fun.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
no
best of
problem.
luck.
Gotta run, but you should do a round of randomized off-label skill check game we did with Hannah. Baba, I'm so sorry. I don't remember how to play it right now. So if you have to go, I love you, but I don't remember how to play it. So you could write the instructions before you leave. Maybe I'll read them. Oh, okay. Careful. This next person, they're a yoku. So we have to be careful. I feel like that's a spirit of some sort.
Who?
They're
Oh.
a silent yoku. I hope
Oh,
they're
boy.
able to talk. We'll see if they break their silence for us tonight. Hello, silent
Hi.
yoku.
Oh my god, they're so silent. They're so good at it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. You have to give them like 20 seconds because oftentimes there's like a delay and they're watching the stream and they kind of have the Discord up in the background. And then you do this thing that I'm doing right now. You just sort of fill space. Hello?
Dead air.
Hello.
Hey!
I'm so glad. Hello, wonderful
Hi.
people.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello? How's it going, man? You got a question for us?
Yeah. So this is on a more serious topic as well. So I'm currently running this very space-themed campaign for my players, which has decreased a little bit because of a few minor incidences with some nightmare players as well. So it's been a bit difficult for me to keep things going in the same way as it was before, which has also caused me to, obviously also moderate a bit on the world as well, because I have made like 12 different planets for this entire world with different laws, different societies and everything, different leaders and so on. So one of those players was my current player's past DM, and apparently he personally had also put them in multiple different scenarios where they didn't feel motivated to play their own characters, basically because he kind of had this whole DM versus players complex.
Oh.
Which made things really difficult for them as well, because he would literally degrade their characters, so they just would lose motivation to actually even play that character.
For
that
sure,
time.
for sure. So,
yeah.
so what's your question here, bud? What can we shine some light on?
Right. My question to you guys is, how can I find a good way to motivate my players to find, newer interest in their character developments while also keep the story interesting for a few amount of players in a really big world?
It's hard when I wouldn't focus on the size of the world. I would just worry about like the immediate area. If you have 12 different planets, which is that's a feat, by the way. Like, congratulations on building out 12 different planets, 12 different societies. That's sick. But at the same time, if it's a space themed campaign, maybe customize like one world to each of your players, and not fully customize, but more like have some nugget of information that would be helpful to that player in that world. That's where their personal side quest is, for instance, or that's where the thing that they're seeking is. That's where their god wants them to go. If they're like a cleric, if they're a warlock, that's where their patron wants them to go. Kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, if you happen to be here for that, player integrations is the absolute best way to keep your players invested in the story and invested in their own character's development. This is the short answer. Is you have to do a little bit of creative labor,
Yeah.
but form fit for them to get them
Yeah,
interested.
yeah. I'm gonna say a very harsh reality of the universe right now to you, and you can take it with a grain of salt. But similarly to when I'm reviewing people's homebrew, you should go into any writing that you do with the assumption that nobody gives a fuck about it, generally. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but if you have 12 planets, there is no reason for a player to care unless you give them a reason to care. And if I was playing in a campaign and my dungeon master said, here's the town you're starting in, it's on this planet, and there are 12 different planets, and you're going to be starting in this planet, on this kingdom, in this town, I am not going to go out of my way to learn about any of those other planets unless, like, my character is from one of them. So I think that to go off of player integration thing, it's like you need to sell the lore. And the way that you sell the lore of your world is you make it important. It either has to become important to the characters or it has to become important to the plot. So if you're trying to get the players hyped on stuff, have things in the world that you want them to get hyped on tie into their background. If one of the players has a character who's from the farmlands of the Purple Cheetos, then get word that there is an ice lord from the ice planet who has come to the Purple Cheeto land to steal all the Cheetos. And then they'll be like, oh shit, there's an ice king that's trying to fuck up my Purple Cheeto land, and they'll care. They'll be like, wait a minute, I need to know about this ice lord because it's my Purple Cheetos that are gonna get taken. But like, and that's a very silly example, but that's the way to do it. It is a wonderful thing when a player genuinely cares about deep diving lore on their own. But it is not fair to expect them to, especially if you have a lot of lore. I think the less lore you have, the more it's okay to expect them to. When I'm running a game, I usually have a cheat sheet of like, here's a bunch of stuff that's like kind of important. And it's all bullet points. And it's like, here's a bunch of stuff. If you care about any of these things, I'll tell you more about them. But these are all just things that you would just casually know about. But I don't give them 30-page document. I give them like a one-pager. And the one-pager is basically like, double-spaced. It's barely a one-pager. So that would be my suggestion. You want to make that information as simple to absorb as possible.
Yeah, thank you. It's also like a very kind of like freelancing thing. So it's not like they don't have to go explore that. I have to like worry about it. It's just purely optional things where they can go around and do as they would like. They can make different choices. They can do what they would like. So they don't really have to learn about it, but it's options that are set up for them to actually learn about it if they would want to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
All right, man. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thank you guys as well.
You were not nearly as silent as you made yourself out to be. All right, I love you. Bye. I got him quick that time. No chance. No chance to respond.
Work. Quick on it.
You can't give me love, chat. You don't know me. All right.
Right.
This name is fantastic. Shake That Cake.
Love it.
Next. Shake That Cake. I'm about to pull you in. And then we have Simon something. And then we have Simon Pie Man. Also a great name. All right.
I love the here we got going today. We've already had 2 ads for Voodoo Chips, an ad for Cheetos. Going hard.
By the way, the purple Doritos, the sweet chili Doritos, I don't like them.
That's a thing.
Foul opinion. Wrong opinion.
I know.
Incorrect.
No, I know. I'm not. I'm literally. You can. I'm not. I'm legitimately not arguing. I know that I'm wrong. But I cannot change in that way. I've grown a lot as a man. I've made many mistakes. We live in a world where it is good to step lightly and empathetically in all directions, and I try to do that. I cannot like them.
Those Doritos in particular.
I can't like them. I would rather eat nothing. Anyway, Shake That Cake. How's it going?
I was having a good day.
How can we make it better?
So I currently have a character, and pretty much all of my characters in my campaign are integral to the plot. But I have one character who's integral to the plot, and the player has become very uncommunicative.
Okay, wait, you cut out for a second.
Okay.
You said something, and then you said
Oh,
the
I'm
player has
sorry.
become very uncommunicative. So I thought it was a piece of information that we didn't need, but maybe we needed it. So say that whole sentence again.
Oh, I was just saying, the character is fairly important to the game, and in the middle of the game, they had to leave, and the player has become uncommunicative. So,
What do you mean leave?
and like the player had to stop playing the game for a period of time.
Okay. Any chance of them coming back?
Well, currently, I don't even know because of how uncommunicative they've been.
Is it?
So safe answer is probably no.
Yeah. I mean, is the work, are you at a certain point you have to decide how much work you want to put into getting a player to reach out and how much it's worth your time. And I do think that there's an element of being like, this person, like, it is hard to run a game. It's fun, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. And if you want to play a game with someone and have a good time as a dungeon master, you need to trust that that person is going to respect your time. If I had a player that was very uncommunicative, I would really struggle to play with them unless they genuinely were on time to every session, regardless of being bad at communicating, and also, like, were just down to clown. They didn't give a shit about having a deep backstory. They were, like, ready and engaged. But, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, like, how much energy do you want to put into hunting them down, you know?
Right. My question was more about, like, what should I... Because currently, all my players have come to a kind of consensus, like, look, I got to give them, like, a, hey, you can either come back to the campaign or just give me your answer now if you want to leave. And...
I think you
was
just
just
say
wondering
I think
how
you
I
just
should
say
word
that.
that.
Okay, yeah. That's really hard. That's a very hard thing to do. So one piece of advice that I give anybody when they're trying to have a conversation where they don't want to hurt feelings is make sure you're having it in a moment of not heightened emotions. So like if they're not being communicative and they're not giving you an opportunity to like set a tone of conversation, then you might need to just send it as a message. But ideally this would be like a phone call or like an in-person thing. And then the other thing is you want to set a tone. So what I would say is something along the lines of like, hey man, it's really fun playing with you. We all have a good time together. I'm putting a lot of work in trying to schedule what's happening in the game, and the lack of communication here is making that really difficult for me. So in the same way that like, I hope that you trust that I would run a good game, I want to be able to trust that like, we can know if you're going to be at stuff because I'm building it according to like who's going to be there. If you don't think you can communicate in that way, that's fine. But then we're going to not play together and it's fine. Like it doesn't matter. We're still buddies. But I just need a level of communication that you're not giving. And then you just say that. And if they don't respond to that, then you definitely don't play with them. And if they do respond to that, they might say like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll do better. Or they might just be like, I understand. But that's how I would put it. Make sure you put friendship first, but then just be really clear.
Yeah, it sucks, and you might have to accept the fact. Yeah, I wouldn't like toss out everything that you built for this character. If you can reuse it for either other characters or make it into like some other plot line or something. But don't let that stop you. I guess don't let the thought of potentially wasting all this plot that you've built make you want to hold on to this relationship that might not continue in the direction you want it to. Yeah, it sucks. It's a terrible situation to be in, but it happens. And yeah, the communication aspect of it is really important.
Yeah, and go off what Diana just said. If it is stuff that you care about a lot from a plot perspective, like you just like the idea, then it's not hard to find ways to fit stuff that you care about into other things. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times I fell in love with an NPC or a monster or a dungeon room, and the players just went in a direction that didn't lead to it, and I was like, oh, well, now it's a kobold, and it'll be over here, and they can now meet him in this circumstance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely have an idea of how to put their character on the back burner. I'm just waiting to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I would I would say gentle but firm is the way to approach talking to them about it. Make sure that you are advocating for yourself and your feelings and your time, and also understand that it will be a sensitive for them, and they might need a little bit of a pat on the back before and after.
Yeah.
All right, shake that cake.
Well, yeah,
I love you. Bye. There we go. That's how we do
All right. Who's next for D&D therapy?
Dude, this does become that sometimes. Although I will say, there are definitely times where I tell people that they're just wrong. I have had that before. It doesn't happen that much, but there's definitely times where I've been like, dude, you are just in the wrong. You just need to drop that. And they're like, and then there's like a minute of silence, and they're just like, okay, because nobody really wants to hear that. Okay, let's get Simon Pie Man, and then and then next, oh boy, we got the tax collector. Don't tell him I'm here.
Hold on, I got some documents to shred before he comes in. Hello.
What's up, Simon Pieman? You're muted still.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
So I have a small question of a game I'm running that is
Sure.
a futuristic campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I have, in my opinion, a good story, but I have almost no narrative.
A story without narrative.
Yeah, what do you have?
And what?
What is it? What is a story without narrative?
Well, I have a story that will happen throughout the campaign and plot points throughout the campaign, but I don't have a reason for why the characters will be in the campaign.
Let me ask you a question. Does the campaign require main characters?
I feel as if it does.
Does it require main characters that let me rephrase this. The most important thing about a D&D game is that it features a group of adventurers saving the day or failing to save the day. That matters more than the lore. That matters more than the monsters. That matters more than the NPCs. That matters more than the geography. At the end of the day, the only thing that D&D is a group of friends playing a game, going on an adventure. So you don't necessarily need to know the answer to how they tie into the story. What you need to do, though, is make sure that there is enough space in the story you want to tell that it makes sense for this to be a D&D campaign and not like a book you want to write. That's the first thing. Like, there needs to be enough space where it's like, you shouldn't know the beats of the story. You might know the beats of the conflict or the beats of big moments, but there should be enough space for the players to make decisions that dramatically impact things later on. And then the other thing is, if you should think about what your elevator pitch for this campaign is. Can you summarize what direction you want this campaign to go in without giving spoilers, in a way that your players can figure out themselves how they might be connected to it? Because that's usually what I do. What I usually do with players is I pitch a bunch of campaign ideas, and then I say, which one do you want to do? And then they say this one, and then I say, cool, let's make some characters that fit them being the main characters of this campaign.
I kind of did do that. I have run a session 0 for the campaign, but one of the characters specifically is quite obsessed with the why in the campaign. Why is their character doing it? Why is the world the way it is?
Mm-hmm.
And they have been talking with me about trying to not improvise, but make a way why the characters are doing what they're doing, as they were currently have just been hired by someone and doing it because they've been hired. I want a different sort of point to that.
Can't the reason be because they're the main characters? Like, I do sort of feel like there is this assumption that needs to be made when you make a character, which is like, if you're not making a character, if the character you're making isn't willing to say yes to the adventure, why are they the character you're making?
Yeah, it's kind of like you're looking for reasons not to play the game at that point.
Yeah, like, it's not your job to make their character fit the story. It's their job to make their character want to play the game, is what I would say.
Yeah, and I think that they are a bit on edge because the last campaign I ran did not go well, and I have canceled it recently. It was me trying to run them through a story that was already been made, so it ended up just they're doing what I want them to do, and I didn't want that.
Yeah, I would basically say your character should have their own reason for being in the adventure. Let's make it together. But it's not my job to tell you what it is. And you also just, you can also be like, yeah, I fucked up last campaign. We're going to be better this time. We're all learning. We're all growing. It's always good to make yourself vulnerable. It disarms people. It's one of my greatest battle strategies.
I did do that, but they have a reason for widening the campaign, but we don't have a reason for them to continue throughout the campaign.
But that's what I mean. They need to figure out one. If their character, here's the thing. If your character has a goal and they accomplish that goal, then the onus, the responsibility is on the player to be like, how has my character changed in such a way that their goals have evolved to make them want to still be here? Do they feel beholden to the other characters? Have they fallen in love with someone that's connected to some thing that's in trouble or whatever? Like, they have to figure out how to make their character develop in that way. And if they can't, it is also okay to be like, I think I'm going to retire my character because their story in this is kind of done. And you can turn it into like a really wonderful, cathartic, almost like sad, but also not sad, melancholy kind of moment where it's like, you know, you and the player work together to be like, next session, the first 10 minutes are going to be like my character saying goodbye and like going off. And then we'll introduce the new character. That's also totally.
People are always so afraid to switch out characters. It's totally okay to retire someone, even if they don't have to die. You can just decide, I don't really want to play Warlock anymore, and then switch over to Monk or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. I also have one other question that
you got to make it so fast. You got to be lightning in a bottle, baby.
I feel I overplan.
Mhm.
And I'm constantly worried I'm over planning and just not putting too much effort into something.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a normal feeling, or is that something I need to fix?
I don't think it's something you need to fix. I think you need to be planning, but with flexibility, as long as you're not railroading, you know, and even you have to be okay with characters not going the direction that you want to take your, you know, you build a dungeon and they decide to just never explore it. You have to be okay with that. And then also recognize the fact that you can just take that dungeon, slop it out, and then move it to a different part of the world and have them run into it later, or have the chance of running into it later. The thing about being a DM is like, however much prep you do, really, it's all pretty modular if you do it right. So yeah, I don't think overplanning is a bad thing. Also, I'm biased because I'm a massive planner. And so take that with a grain of salt. But as long as you're flexible about it and not railroading people to the things you've planned just for the sake of using them. Like, if you don't use it, it's fine. Keep it in your back pocket.
Yeah, I usually tell people that they should plan as much as they are having fun. If you are having fun, then plan more. If you aren't having fun anymore, then stop planning. And just I do want to point at something you asked earlier. You're like, is this feeling normal? There are so many feelings, and almost all of them are normal. I don't think that you should ever feel like the things that you're feeling in D&D, but I guess in life too. Almost never is there something wrong. Sometimes they might be like a string that ties to something that is wrong. But I think having feelings that are like, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, is like the most normal thing. I talk about this sometimes. I have shocking amounts of imposter syndrome. I have to take a nervous poop before every stream just because I'm a nervous man in my bones. It doesn't mean that there's any justification to it, but it also doesn't mean it's wrong. It's fine. You will start to figure out where that nervousness sits and where it sort of melts away the more that you do this kind of stuff, because you are going to get more comfortable, and the more comfortable you get, the more you can kind of feel where the space is. But yeah, feel however you want, man. Feelings are good. Live in the uncomfortable sometimes. Sit deep in it. Get up to your belly button in that. You know what I mean? That's the danger zone. When you're going into cold water, the belly button is like belly button is like I'm either stopping here or I'm going all the way.
Yeah.
All right, Simon. Thank you for the question.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Man, imposter syndrome is so real. So real.
Oh God, yeah. I still get it. I've been told I give other DMs imposter syndrome, and I still get it myself. So
yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people, I feel like that's the thing that comes up a lot. A lot of people are like really nervous or feeling like they're doing something wrong. But at the end of the day, you're only like, especially in the context of D&D. In life, it's obviously there's a lot of nuance and whatever. But in D&D, you're really only doing something wrong if you're not like actively checking in with your players and trying to make it good. If you are actively trying to make it good and actively checking in with your players to see if it is good, then you can fuck up so much and it will still be good because because your players will feel like you care, and that's actually matters more than anything else.
Cool.
Rant. All right, sorry. Tax collector. let's get the tax collector in here.
Oh boy.
What's up, tax man? Tax man. Dexy.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Hey.
All right. I had two, should be relatively short questions.
Sure.
One is, I sent you last stream a few super chats about Oath of the Dragon Slayer I came up with.
Yeah, that was a cool idea.
Yeah. So, one idea I had was, you said not to use Smite for the whole grounding the dragons. I was thinking something like maybe a special spell where like he creates a javelin that he throws at the dragon, and it would create like a tether between you and the dragon. You can pull it down. That sound like a decent idea?
I think that sounds like a great idea. Here's what I will say. If you are making a paladin, you have... Most of the time when you're making homebrew, there are some rules you need to follow and some you don't. Paladins have a lot of rules. So that feature that you just described, I think would make a lot of sense as either a channeled divinity or as a 15th level feature that is resource-based or once a day. But to be frank, those are the only two places it'll fit. It won't fit anywhere else. Because 7th level, you need an aura, or you need a really fucking good excuse not to have an aura. And then the only other thing they get is channel divinity spells in 20th level avatar mode. So I would make it one of their channel divinities, or I would make it the 15th level feature. And I probably would make it a channel divinity, because if you want to make a character... sorry, Diana, to give you some context here, this is a paladin subclass that's designed around hunting dragons, and the suggestion I made before was that instead of having it focus on hunting dragons for the mechanics, have the mechanics focused on things that just dragons are good at. So instead of it being like you're good against dragons, it's like you're good against flying creatures and elemental damage types and fear auras. So it would work on things that aren't just dragons, but would also be quite good against dragons. So yeah. make it a channel divinity.
All right. And the second question is,
you make it do two. Here's what you do. I'm going to tell you exactly what it should be. It should do 2d10 radiant. It should do 2d10 plus your paladin level radiant damage. Then it should require a saving throw, and on a failure, they are tethered to you or dragged to the ground or something.
Okay.
And then you can hold it for like a minute or 10 minutes or something. Probably a minute. 10 minutes is
yeah. And the second question was, another idea for the subclass was, I called it Know Your Enemy, which gives you the ability to read, just talk Draconic, and give you the ability to sense when something with Draconic blood in them is, like a dragon or a dragonborn. You know, you can sense Draconic blood near you. Is that like a good flavor kind of thing?
I would be wary of that. That's very similar to like Primeval Awareness or Divine Sense, which are two features that already exist. So I would consider, what I would probably do if I was going to do that, this is what I would do. I would give you like, maybe it turned it into an aura where you have the ability to tell like creatures' true state, like if they're shape changers or things like that, because that would also address like a lot of dragons do the thing where they like turn into a person to fuck around or like a bird. But you could make that a channel divinity. I don't know how I feel about it as channel divinity. I feel like if I was going to make that a channel divinity, I probably would. It's not strong enough, I don't think, to be a channel divinity.
All right.
It could be an aura. If I was going to do a channel divinity, I'd probably lean into like how fucking imposing a dragon is. Like maybe you can give yourself a +10 to intimidation checks against creatures that are larger than you or something like that for a minute, so you can be like, oh, you're growling at me, I'm fucking growling at you, you know?
Another kind of cool idea I thought I had was maybe has the ability to give party members immunity to fear in front of a dragon or bigger creatures.
You already get a fear aura. Don't they already get a fear aura? Or maybe they just get immunity to fear. Paladins, look at the paladin class list and make sure you're not stepping on the toes of some core features. They already get some anti-fear shit. All right, tax collector. I really, really hope I see this subclass because it sounds very fun. And I think that if you do it well, it will sit really strongly as a good example of how you can have a class have a very specific vibe, but mechanics that express themselves in a way that are pretty open-ended. So I wish you luck, and I'm sending my emissaries to you to help.
All right, thanks.
All right, buddy. I was a tax collector.
Nice.
Yeah, we get a good chunk of the homebrew questions.
I feel so inadequate. I know nothing about homebrew stuff. I'm one of those please don't use homebrew type DMs only because I don't know anything about balance when it comes to those things. So it's interesting to hear, though.
I think that at a certain point, if you ever want to go down homebrew lane, my goodness, let me show you the way. I would love to take you to that haunted house. But but I think it's such a like whatever thing. Like, as someone who spends a lot of time reading homebrew, you really don't need it to have a good time. And one of the things that I point people to is if you watch Critical Role. Now they use a lot of homebrew in Critical Role now, but if you watch Critical Role in like the earlier Critical Role, Matt Mercer, better than almost any other dungeon master. And I don't know if Critical Role is my favorite live play anymore. I really like Dimension 22. It doesn't matter. Everybody's wonderful and I love everybody. But Matt Mercer will take the most mundane fucking non-homebrew monster from the monster manual that like I've skipped that page more times than I can count because I'm not interested. And he will make the most evocative fucking encounter out of that monster. And so much of making a game fun is like the way you present the thing more so than what the thing is, you know?
Yeah. It's so good. A good description goes a long way.
Huge way.
A good setup.
Yeah. All right. This person is called 2P Blog Thing.
Hello.
That's a weird name. What's up, cowboy? Giddy up.
All right.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. A little nervous considering you're just kind of talking about homebrew.
No, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. We're talking about whatever you want to talk about.
Awesome. Well, I've always been sort of kind of a more roleplay oriented DM. I kind of like to build worlds from the ground up. So the current campaign I'm currently running, like the whole world is based off of one concept, which is sort of like, have you ever heard of the laws of manifestation in real life?
No. I have never heard of anything.
It's basically like a Wiccan type of thing where they believe like thoughts have power, and like the more like you believe in something, the more it's likely to come true. So I've sort of built the world around that, where the creator of the world, she's like the most powerful like manifestation. She made the entire world based on her thoughts. But there's also sort of where it's a collective sort of thing where like the more people believe in something, the more likely it's going to be true. Like there's currently like a evil god that people believe in, and like they're getting more people to believe in him, so he's like growing more and more powerful. But what I'm specifically asking about is a class that I'm taking based off of that, which is called like the Thought Magicians, where they have enough thought magic ability to be able to manipulate the world around them. And it can either be based off emotion, which is kind of the weaker side of things, where it's kind of an easy way out. You make yourself mad or you make yourself angry and you can like conjure things. But if you have like more control of yourself, more like what's it called, like more like self-esteem, like knowing who you are, it becomes more of like a more powerful thing. What I'm asking about is, I personally am not a mechanic person myself, so I am wondering like how mechanically I would make this happen, because like I do have NPCs who are thought magicians, and how I've been running it is like I do 2 D20 rolls. The first one is how successfully you created something, and then the second one is it actually what you intended? Like maybe if you tried to make yourself like a steak or something, if you missed the second one, you could accidentally make like an alive cow or something like that.
Are players gonna have access to this sort of magic or no?
It is planned at some point they will. That's what I'm trying to balance it with. But I'm not a mechanics person. So.
That's okay. That's okay. I think that there's a couple ways to go about this. First of all, I would make it as simple as you can just for yourself, especially if you're not a mechanics person. That doesn't mean it can't be crazy. I just don't think you should make it complicated. So it could be the kind of thing where it's like you have the ability to do something minor somewhat regularly. Like a good example, I think a good way to think about it would be like if you want to do this dice mechanic thing, I would probably steal something from the Powered by Apocalypse game, which is that basically you would roll, when you would try to do anything, you would roll a d6. This is not exactly Powered by the Apocalypse, but it kind of simplifies it. You roll a d6. If you roll a 1 or a 2, the thing you try to do backfires and something bad happens. If you roll a 3 or a 4, you kind of succeed, but also a little bit off. And if you roll a 5 or a 6, you just succeed. And then if people are better at that, you can sort of allow them to make that roll with a bonus. So if somebody can make that roll with a +1, then they immediately are going to be significantly more likely to succeed. So I would probably keep it really simple and do something like that.
Okay, yeah. Sounds very similar to what I'm doing already. Sounds good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds a lot like, God, is it the astral plane and the Gith who are really good at like training themselves to create form matter and things like
I
that?
fucking love the Gith. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking of. Again, not a homebrew person, but maybe that'll be a source of inspo. I'm sure someone's written down the mechanics for that somewhere. Maybe that'll be a good guide. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. Really cool. It's a neat idea. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for speaking with me about it.
Yeah, no problem. I love you.
Bye.
Bye. That was cool. That's a fun idea. Will-based magic where you can have a chance to fuck up in a way that it does something next door to it, I think is fun. It's like a little bit of like an alternative wild magic.
Yeah, and it opens up a lot of complication or potential like complications when it comes to like, you know, how does psychic damage influence someone's ability to use their own magic, you know, certain you know, confusion and other what are they called? Status effects that might like fuck with your ability to do that. That'd be sick.
Have you ever had a wild magic user? You ever DM for a wild magic guy?
I have not DM'd for one, but I've been one for a one shot. It wasn't that exciting, honestly.
Wild magic is lackluster. I want it to be better.
Yeah. It's not much of a motivation to use it.
No.
I don't know.
But I like the concept.
Yeah.
The thing about the wild magic table that's fun is I like using it for other things because it does generally skew positive more than negative. So you can pretty comfortably just like have people roll it sometimes in like goofy stuff. Whenever I am dealing with the Fae, I'm always throwing some wild magic in there. We have a cold human next.
A cold human. I hope they're okay.
I hope they get
It's
a
the middle of
blanket.
summer.
And then we have
Probably
Carlos.
circulation issue.
Dude, you know what they need? A little bit more ginger. Ginger's good for circulation. I had a very hippy dippy friend teach me that. I don't know if it actually is true, but they seem to claim it. Sometimes people are very health conscious. I feel like they're too in tune with their body. Like if somebody's like, I don't have good circulation in my hands today, I need to eat more ginger. Like I do generally feel like I don't know when I feel that way. Like,
sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. A cold human, you're in the chat. Can you unmute, dear? Oh, cold human. Oh, maybe they're too cold.
Sorry,
Oh no.
I'm trying to close out I have your stream running on YouTube.
Got you. Yeah, just mute us on YouTube. You're really quiet.
Yeah.
You're really quiet.
Okay. How well can you hear me now?
Could you turn your gain up at all, or sit closer to your microphone?
I can kind of try. Let's see.
It just sounds like you're on the opposite side of a room, like shouting at your microphone.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used this computer very much, so I don't know how.
That's okay. That's okay. Listen, I cranked your volume. Just don't do anything crazy so you don't blow out our eardrums. We'll do our best. What's your question? How can we help you?
Okay. So essentially, I guess I have a couple of things.
Pick the most important one.
The most important one I can think of is I haven't actually sat down and played the game of D&D in like a year. And before, so back when I was playing that, I was usually a dungeon master in the last couple of games I've been in. And now I kind of like have some ideas for characters and things, and I wanna be a player, but I don't really know how to reach out to people and stuff, because normally I've just been like, okay, I have people I can talk to and I can gather a group around this thing that I want to do as the DM. And I was wondering, how do I reach out to people if I just like, I want to be in your thing because I want to be the player?
That's a great question.
Has anyone in your friend group DM'd before, or is everyone just kind of afraid to do it because they've never tried it before?
I know one guy who would, but I don't necessarily want him to be my DM because he's a lot more like, he's a great guy, but he's way more in a different. He plays a lot differently than I do. He is a lot more like mechanics and combat encounters, and I like a lot more roleplay and other looser things.
Okay.
It's kind of a beggars can't be choosers situation, unfortunately. I would say if you're like locked into just playing with your friend group, you might just need to kind of like, you know, if that DM is even willing to DM, talk to them about like, you know, their motivations for the game versus your motivations for the game, what each party wants to get out of it to make it fun for everyone. That's kind of like a standard conversation that players and DMs should have with each other to make sure that each other's invested in it. And other than that, it might be worth offering up the idea to your other friends and saying like, hey, if anyone wants to run, like, especially around holidays, you know, one-shots are so much fun for holidays. Give other people a chance to very gently dip their toe in the DMing water, so to speak, and give it a shot. You know, it's a very, very low risk, low investment way to DM, and especially DMing for the first time, one-shots are a great way to do it. So you can come up to them and be like, hey, you know, if anyone is ever curious about DMing, you know, Halloween's coming up and I found this great module. If anyone's curious, you know, wants to try it, here's something that you can run. But if that doesn't work, you might just want to look at other avenues. You know, playing online is a really big thing now. There's a bunch of ways to find people online. Most notably, there's like the looking for games subreddit. It's r/LFG, which is what I usually point people to. You can look for a local adventurers league games at your friendly local game shop. They're way less intimidating than they look. Start Playing is something like a new sort of platform. I haven't looked into it too much, but it's run by one of my friends.
It's good. Yeah.
Is it?
Devin's
Okay,
awesome. Yeah, I know Devin. We know the same.
Yeah.
People. We know a lot of the same people. It's pretty cool.
Devin was the first guy to offer me a sponsorship with Start Playing, but it's grown a lot. So. Yeah. So, I would say it's not something you can force other people to want to do. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Neosol, what's up, dude?
I would say I think I'll think about that. My current plan is probably just talk to my friend that I know who works at a game store and might know people.
Yeah, that's a good connection to have.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat also said there is no pressure, but there are places in the Discord to whatchamahoo's it to find groups. You can find them in there. People are looking for them.
Wait, sorry. Give me a minute or two.
All right, buddy. Thank you for the call. Click. I didn't hear you say goodbye. I'm so sorry, but I did hang up on you. But you're wonderful, and I hope that's fine. Are you laughing? What's so funny?
No, it's just the sudden he muted himself. I guess I don't know. Maybe he decided he was out.
Okay. One second. Let's grab somebody else. Next is going to be Carlos.
Carlo S. looks like.
Hey,
Hello.
Carlos. Carlos, hello.
Give it a sec, I guess.
You gotta unmute, friend. Carlos.
Hello?
Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey. My bad. I didn't realize I was muted.
That's okay.
You're pretty cool. So my question is, I got you there. My question is, how do I, in character, connect with the other characters? How do I make that's another question. How do I connect with the other characters and just have an impactful story with them?
As a character?
Yes.
I have an idea immediately, but I've been stepping on toes. So, Diane, if you want to go first, you can go first.
I mean, from a role-playing, like, get-to-know-you aspect, early on in the game, a lot of DMs try and encourage their players to have fireside conversations. And honestly, a lot of those can start out the same way, or in even a cheesier way than you would in real life, you know, going up to just another character in roleplay and being like, so what's your story? How'd you end up here, sort of thing? Or even just being like, hey, would you rather? And then go on, like, some fantasy would you rather questions. That's more like surface level, like, straight up just getting to know someone. Other than that, I think really that's the starting point for everything. After that, you just, I don't know, how do you make friends in real life? It's the same vibe. And then you kind of become invested in each other's quests, personal goals, consequences, things like that. If that's the kind of connection you're talking about, that would be a good starting point.
I big agree. I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. There's a creator that I really like in the chat. I just want to shout them out. Neo Soul God. There's their TikTok. They are the creator of the night skin race that that came out when there were people trying to be racist, and they were like, fuck you, we're going to take it and make it something badass. And he's just a cool creator. He's working on a new class right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to share what it is. I think I am. He's working on a witch class that is built around like hexes and stuff, but he's a fun creator. Go check him out. Also, to answer your question, in my opinion, I agree very much with what Diana said. And I also wanted to say an easy way to do that is whenever you have a character that include other people in your shit and ask people about their shit. So instead of having your character be like, I want to go to the fighting pits, have your character be like, hey, Jojo Banana Pants, do you want to come with me to the fighting pits? It makes them be like, oh, yeah, sure. Like, it's in real life. Think about how nice it feels when your friend, when somebody asks you to join them on an activity. Oh my God, dude, if one of my friends was like, hey, I need to go to Home Depot, do you want to come? I would probably fucking go. It's like, yeah, we're going on a fun time. And then the more you invest in and also ask them about themselves in the same way that you would with a person. So have your character be like, hey, I noticed that you were really upset when those guards went by. What happened? Just say shit like that. And then there'll be like, because players, I do think, I'm curious, this is a little bit of a tangent, and I'm curious if your thoughts on this, Diana, but I do feel like there is a tendency for players to communicate to the dungeon master more than to each other sometimes. And it is really important to try to push people to communicate with each other as much, if not more, I think, than they do with the dungeon master. And being the one that opens the door and says like, hey, you, tell me about yourself, or hey, you, come with me and let's do a fun thing, is a great way to do that.
Oh yeah. I employ like not secrets a lot, but you know how Mercer will go and like whisper to people and give them extra information, and then it's up to that player to convey that information to the rest of the party. That's so easy to do on an online platform. So there's so many times where I'll ask someone for a check, and not even in front of everyone else. I'll just I'll DM them and be like, hey, roll perception real fast and DM me the result. And then if they get a good result, I DM them information. Or if a character's gone for a session, I have them run off and, I tell them to tell me what they're doing while everyone else is continuing the quest for that session. I had one character run off and study the mists of Barovia while she was gone for a week. And then the next week she came back, I DM'd her all the info that she learned. And then she had the opportunity to share that with everyone else. And everyone was like, wait, how do you know that? Like,
that's cool.
What's your your specialty? What's your talent? How did you figure that out?
That's cool.
So that's a good way to discover what other characters' strengths are without, being awkward about it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at socializing. Last time I tried to interact with a character, so we were in a cave and this character's short, and I was like, so what's it like being blind and short? Because I'm the only one with dark vision.
Yeah, but I will say that there is an element of judgment or making fun of in that question. And if you don't notice that, that's okay. But I could see why a player would be like, fuck you. That's why I think you shouldn't ask. I would not ask pointed questions. If you're genuinely not sure if you can ask, if you're going to know if your question's offensive or not, ask open-ended questions. So instead of being like, hey, why are you short? Say like, hey, what's important to you? Asking somebody what's important to them is never going to be offensive unless you respond by being like, that's not important, but don't do that. Have your character ask open-ended questions about themselves, and then have your character genuinely care about the answer. And that's it. That's the secret to life, man. That's actually the secret to life, is just like ask people questions and then listen to their answers.
So back when I was in school, I also studied psychology alongside like sales and zoology and all that stuff, chemistry. There's a bunch of random shit in there. And like the absolute biggest takeaway I took away from my psychology classes is people love talking about themselves. They are their own favorite topic. And so if you can get someone to talk about themselves in real life, in role playing, whatever, they're going to like you more. That's like the secret to getting people to like you, is just ask them questions and then follow up on those questions. It's absolutely the secret to life. But
thank you very much.
Thank you for the call, Carlos.
Good luck.
Okay.
Click. Love you. I didn't say I love you first. It is 8:00. I don't want to keep you longer than you want to be here. I do want to keep going for a little bit longer because we only have 6 people left. So I think what I'm going to do is probably close it off at this 6th person.
Cool.
You do not need to stick around forever if you don't want to. And I just noticed it was 8, so I wanted to give you an out if you wanted one.
It is only 5 for me, so we're good. My work day just ended.
Cool.
I'll be around for these 6.
If you'll be around for these 6, then I might stay for... I don't
After
want to.
that,
I don't want to make
that's-
promises. We'll say we're going to do these 6, and then we might be done.
Cool.
But let's get Bildo in here. Also, I do have to point something out beforehand. I just want to say I do really appreciate you taking like a huge chunk of your day to do this. It's
Oh, my
very.
job's not-
but okay, whatever. It's in a very honest way. It means quite a lot, and I appreciate it very much.
Oh, thanks.
It is
yeah.
very generous of you.
Thanks for having me on.
Hopefully we shall hang again. I have this low key. I think I slowly want to bring on everyone that's in your D&D game. I think I'm connected to almost all of them now on social media, and the first connections were so serendipitous. Like I was talking to Hannah, and I don't remember what we were talking about, and then she mentioned you were her dungeon master, and it kind of blew my mind because it was like I think it was when we became mutuals, and I was talking about this idea of having people on, and I was like, yeah, I have some people I'm thinking. So it kind of was like the world is a weird place, but
Honestly, when it comes to D&D influencers in general too, like there's such a small circle of us when you think about it. I think that's part of the main reason that I got so popular, because there just isn't a lot of people making that type of content consistently. And I can think of all the major ones I'm like mutuals with, connected with. It's pretty small
Yeah.
group. So it's good to have an in.
give yourself credit, please, please, because it's a small group, but it's not that small a group. For every TikTok, YouTube, fucking whatever we are, for every content creator, D&D bullshit person that you know, there are 100 that you don't. There is. It is not entirely. There is a lot of credit that should sit on your shoulders. So you don't need to accept that if you don't want to, but I will quietly think about it. Okay.
Deal.
Let's get Bildo in here. Bildo.
Hello.
Hello, Bildo. You have to unmute. You know the game. Bildo's one of my mods.
Oh.
Bildo,
nice.
why aren't you unmuting? Are you unmuted and is your microphone just fucked up and do you need to turn Discord off and back on? That might
All
be
the
it.
Plugs in the right place.
We're going to give you 20 seconds. So this is what happens. Sometimes when I pull people into the chat, it fucks with their mic, and then they don't say anything. Although Bildo just might not be at their computer. Let's see if he's in the chat. I don't see him. All right, Bildo, I'm going to hang up on you. I'll tell you what. If you come back, you can hop the line. I love you, Bildo. You're a really good mod. Thank you for being everything that I need. High five forever. You are the wind beneath my wings. I love you. Bye. All right, that was Bildo.
All right, loved him.
Great
Fantastic.
talk.
Riveting.
We'll see if he comes back. All right, next we're gonna have the woodland sniper X. Ooh, scary. And then the masked maestro.
Oh,
I'm here.
Oh, Bildo, you're back. He's a mod. He can just come into this chat.
Perfect timing.
How's it going, buddy?
I was totally AFK. We were trying a new Thai food place.
I assumed you were. I assumed you were. Are you wait? Are you eating right now? Do you want to come later?
No, I just finished and walked in here. and was like, oh shit.
No, it's okay. I didn't rush you though, right? You're good.
No, I literally sat down and was like, that was a nice meal. Looked at the thing and I heard Bildo and I was like, oh my god.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was funny. It was a funny ha ha ha.
It's pretty great.
What can we do for you, bud?
I am running a game where I am going through the 9 hells. Of course, I run a lot of games.
Nice.
I'm bringing the hag market up because there is a night market that is ran specifically by night hags. The only price you can pay is your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bunch of extravagant items that are game breaking and amazing, but of course it costs your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the list of items, or I have a contract you can see if you'd like to look at something, or if you just want to talk about the idea.
We're just gonna talk. We're not doing a
I
deep dive in
figured, yeah.
homebrew right now. But what would you want to do? You want to present us with the ideas, or do you have a question about one of them specifically, or something?
No, just the idea of it. Convincing someone to sell their soul. How do you convince a player to sell your soul or sell their soul? What would it take for you to sell your soul in a game?
In D&D, it's so easy. They're
In
gonna
D&D,
throw
yeah.
their souls away for shiny stuff.
Yeah, I'd sell my soul in a second in D&D. What soul?
Yeah.
Who cares?
despite what the items are, like honestly, they're probably going to be super down for it. D&D characters in particular don't have a whole lot of wisdom when it comes to long-term consequences. You know, you could say like, oh, you're going to rob your character of the afterlife with their god, like they're going to be floating in eternity, be tortured for forever. But unless they're really good role players, like super experienced, super invested in the role play aspect of the game, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't have to deal with that. The campaign's going to end. Like, I'll just leave my character in oblivion. I want to have the fun shiny sword right now. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But maybe I don't know your players. So
well, that's the idea. Is I'm going to punish them with role play.
Okay, so 2 thoughts. One, this is annoying, but whatever. I don't love the idea from a lore perspective of a shop that you can only ever go shopping at once. Like that feels like I almost wish there was a way that you could buy other things. Like unless you're like a soul collector, this is like not the shop to go to. Like you just go there once.
For sure. Well, there is a whole market. This is just the one shop, like the big shop.
Okay. So I would either lean into that or have other things where it's like maybe there are people who go around buying people's souls so they can sell them at the place, so they can buy more than one thing. And then if you're doing like the punishment is role play, you know your players better than anyone. Just make sure that that's the kind of thing that'll be fun for them. I struggle with balancing stupidly overpowered items or powers. I find that the more I try to balance them by having something detrimental happen, the more it just makes more things I have to deal with later. I would rather give someone something stupidly overpowered and just be ready for that to be the game moving forward than giving them something super overly powered that has a particular like big downside that is like too overwhelming. Yeah. Do you have thoughts on how, give me one example of how you're going to represent somebody not having a soul?
Well, the idea is that they won't be able to get into certain places. Like you can't get into the Feywild if you don't have a soul because nobody can trick you into selling yourself in the Feywild, right? Nobody can trick you into whatever. And there are other domains and places where you wouldn't be allowed to go into. You couldn't cast astral projection because there is nothing to project, right? You'd have to get permission. And at any time, the creature that owns your soul could come and bind you to a soul coin and be like, hey, I'm just going to keep this coin just in case. Good luck, buddy. And now like they have your soul on them, but you're still a living person. But like, yeah. And that's the reason why the party's going to the 9 Hells is because they got a bag of soul coins that were stolen and they're trying to sell them to night hags. And I just love that setup.
Where did you say you got these coins?
Yeah. It's a fun idea. It's a very fun idea. I would suggest just preparing yourself for the crazy overpowered things that you might inevitably, I can't think of a player that wouldn't take that deal.
Yeah.
Power overwhelming.
And I'll put the link in stream events if people want to look at it.
Cool.
Night Hag market list.
It's a fun idea. I really like the flavor of the shop that buys souls and things. If I was going to run it, I would push that farther and I would have it where you could buy things like names, you know, like get real fucking meta with it.
For sure. That's definitely a great idea. I love that. Like just have a whole section where you go in and like you can't read the names until you buy them. It's like, oh, well, you take 1d4 psychic damage when you try to read one of these names because it's a true name.
Yeah.
This all reminds me of, and I don't know if this is like part of Curse of Strahd because but like I think there are, some way that you can deal with night hags in either the core game itself or in the modified version of it that someone posted on Reddit. Where you can make deals for essentially information in Curse of Strahd, and in return, you give a trio of night hags things like your final breath, which means that the player character, and you guys might have heard of this, now dies after 2 saving throws instead of 3. Things like that. One that you can sell your luck, and then this one says like 3 times per day, the DM can impose disadvantage on a roll made by that player character. So there's like a table of just like tiny little mechanical things like that could turn the tide of a make or break moment. So that might be another option as well. It could be soul fragments. It doesn't have to be a whole soul.
For sure. No, I'm a huge fan of that and have actually gotten the final breath of a player before. And they're like, oh, I don't even know what that is. Let's do it. And then they die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool. Thank you, Bildo. It's a great question. Great idea.
Later.
All right, buddy. How do I hang up on you? Oh, you hung up on me. Perfect. Yeah, that's Bildo. That's Bildo. Bildo, I think, if I remember correctly, is a professional DM. Like, that's just like what he does.
Whoa.
So he
that's
runs
sick.
like 6 or 7 games a week, something crazy like that.
Yeah, anything to do with hags is like always just the wildest shit. It's so much fun.
I love a good hag.
Mhm.
All right, let's get woodland sniper in here. Why isn't it working? There we go. Woodland sniper. Hello.
Hello.
Unmute, friendo. Woodland sniper. Prepare yourself. Enter into our arena. The Masked Maestro, you're up next, so be ready for me to pull you in also. If the Woodland Sniper doesn't unmute in the next 8 or 9 seconds, we're going to say goodbye to them politely. Oh, they're here. Hello?
Hey.
Oh, you have unmuted, but you're not here. So what you probably need to do is turn off Discord and turn it back on. Or you need to figure out how to plug your microphone in. Oh, you've left. Let's see if you come back. This is the most annoying part of stream when this happens. Let's see.
We avoided it for so long, too.
There is a level of humor to it when I get frustrated. I do acknowledge that part of the entertainment of my stream... Let's try again. Hey, unmute and try again. Unmute. Try again. Unmute and try again. Hello?
What about now?
Oh my god, that was really loud, but it's working. How's it going?
All right, you said I'm a little loud.
I dealt with it. I'm good.
Okay. So I actually have a homebrew question of a warlock patron that I had an idea of making.
Sure. Elevator pitch it to me in 2 sentences.
Yes. The outsider from the Dishonored games.
Okay.
And the main kind of part of the subclass is I want to incorporate Blink. But since warlocks don't have many spell slots, that might be a little overpowered. Like, I basically want to just give it Misty Step.
Yeah,
maybe like a couple,
I would not give it Misty Step. I would give it a feature that does something similar to Misty Step, but not as strong. The logic being there is a 14th level Ranger subclass feature that is that, and you shouldn't give a 14th level subclass feature to a 1st level Warlock.
Right.
So I would probably do something like you can use your bonus action to teleport a number of feet equal to 5 times your proficiency bonus, and you can do that, I don't know, charisma modifier times per day, so it would start as like a 10-foot blink, but it would get bigger over time.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, I was thinking maybe proficiency bonus, like the actual casting of it, like proficiency bonus per day might be a little strong. Because I mean, even if it was a 10-foot blink,
just don't make it.
like,
Don't make it Misty Step. Don't think about it like a spell. Make it an ability.
Right,
You're not
right.
casting anything. Make it an ability. Make the range either make the range extend over time or the number of uses extend over time, and then you're groovy.
Right. Because I also wanted to incorporate the other different powers that Corvo has in the game, and I wasn't sure if to use it as spell casting or to totally remove spell casting and give it its own kind of like mana charges. It's too much thinking to worry about. I just kind of want to work on one step at a time.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Give it a separate resource or make it a once per short rest thing, and then you're groovy.
Alrighty.
Go. Anything else? We good? That's it?
No, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just
That was
kind of
a
want to
quick
get your
one.
opinion on that.
That just like a classic woodland sniper. Getting the job done and GTFOing. Am I right? Click. Thank you for joining. Yeah, the hanging up on the people is the best part.
It's so impressive how you just know, oh yeah, you get that when you're this class at this level in this specific subclass. Like, that is encyclopedic knowledge.
I'm very knowledgeable on like 3 or 4 things, and I'm a complete fucking idiot at everything else, so it balances out. I appreciate that though. If ever I know about some things. I know so little about most though. So little. The next is gonna be a Masked Maestro.
Hello.
I also just read so much fucking homebrew because half of my streams are homebrew related that I end up using references a lot. So I'm like looking at the subclasses all the time. So I was looking at the Fey Wanderer like 2 days ago. What's up, Masked Maestro? How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well today.
Why are they why masked? Why don't you want the glory? You want to hide behind a banner?
Marshmallow does it.
I'm just a huge fan of Bad End Theater. It's
all right.
game.
I
Anyway.
accept. Yeah, but I guess Marshmallow does do that. I've never met Marshmallow, but I have eaten Marshmallow, and it was pretty good. That was such a stupid joke. Maestro, what's up, buddy? How can we help you?
Yeah, so an upcoming character I'm going to be playing for Waterdeep Dragon Heist. A friend of mine's DM.
Great module.
He seemed really excited for it. So
fun one.
Basically, it's a tiefling Dampier artificer, alchemist, eventually. And one of the things about their character is that they've lived in Waterdeep their whole life and is known as a bit of a troublemaker, delinquent, but they don't really mean harm all that often. But, one of the things I like about Dampiers is that they, their bite attack, they have this more feral side to them, and I don't want to be like that one player that's just like, oh, I killed this guy for no reason. Because I want to kind of like this thing where, like, yes, he's usually a very calm and reasonable guy, but something might be able to set him off and make him less susceptible to reason or something like that. But I don't want to be like the whole stereotype of the chaotic neutral,
Just make it a character flaw. Whatever that is, hone it down to something not crazy specific, but as long as your DM knows what it is and you know what it is, then that gives you the opportunity to do so in a measured manner, very cause-effect sort of way, as opposed to just going off on your own and doing the chaotic neutral thing. And it's, make it specific enough that it's not going to disrupt the game or anything. But that shouldn't be too hard to work out with your DM.
Yeah, I agree. It can either be you could make it a role play thing, you could make it a mechanic thing. It could trigger in certain circumstances, like if your character has some sort of like trauma or something that it like is tied to, like, or some sort of like defensive reaction. You could do something where it's like you have to roll a wisdom saving throw if you smell chocolate milk or something, and you can sort of decide how it's gonna go off. That would be my move. The other thing is you could just role play it, right? Like you could just decide that your character is going to not be dumb chaotic neutral. They're going to be smart chaotic neutral, which is, I think, a realistic way to play a character where it's like, yeah, you're not a dingus. You know that if you just start biting people, you're going to get in trouble. You have this whole group of adventurers with you. They're not going to fucking adventure with you if you're just biting shit. But if you got fighting a bunch of bandits and you kill them all and, nobody's looking, maybe you bite one of them.
Get a little
drink.
sip.
Yeah. Or you go get some farm animals when no one's looking. Or you go work really, really hard to not get caught. You figure out how to be invisible. You figure out how to cast invisibility on yourself or something, so you can try to dip in and out of places, so you can fuck shit up. But make sure that the way that your character lashes out doesn't hinder the group is like the main thing. Like, make sure it's fun.
Yeah, like that's the main part I'm worried about. I don't want to be like as I said, I just don't want to be that guy,
Yeah. So the way to not be that guy is to make your character earnest. To have a reason for these things to happen. They shouldn't just lash out because you think it's cool. I accept that you think it's cool, so you're doing that. So that might be where you as a player started with that idea, but that shouldn't be where the character starts. So there needs to be a reason for it, and then that reason probably needs to be something that like you're cool with eventually the characters like addressing and maybe becoming like a part of the plot. It could be a part of your backstory,
We love character development.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, thank you, the Masked Maestro.
Well, thank you.
Have a good
day.
I love the Dampier, so I encourage you to go and slay. Go slay. Dampiers are so much fun.
I am DMing for one for the first time, except it's in Cursed Distraught. So it's like, oh, how are these NPCs going to react to this?
Yeah, just another fucking
it's a new
vamp.
challenge. Yeah, basically.
I love being able to bite stuff and to be able to walk on walls. So cool. So much fun.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Yeah.
Am I crazy for thinking that having a climb speed or being able to jump really far is cooler than having a fly speed?
I feel like for the vibe, it's definitely creepier.
I think I like it though in all circumstances. Like if I could if my character could Hulk jump where it could go like drop, I think that's more fun than having a fly speed.
It's less boring, but
it's cooler.
Yeah, yes, objectively cooler.
Okay, so I'm not a crazy person. Thank you. Next we have Alan Goodrat. What a wonderful name that is. And then we're going to have Pudgeface Paladin next. Hey, sounds like me. Alan, what's up, buddy? You got to unmute. How's it going, Mr. Goodrat? It's a great name.
Hello?
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I don't have to leave. First off, I love you. Boom. You can't say anything and then kick me out. I said I love you first.
I could kick you out right now.
Please don't.
I'm not going to, but that's that is what now I can kick you out whenever I want. That's the whole thing.
Can.
So,
sugar honey iced tea. Okay. I'm going to make this quick.
Please.
Cool.
all right, I enjoy being a dungeon master. Like, I have a bunch of ideas all the time.
Mhm.
But I struggle with the pressure of people because I want to do once a week sessions because I just got out of high school and I'm getting ready to go into college.
Wonderful.
Congrats.
Summer's
That's
the
the
best time
problem.
also.
Well, summer's over pretty
Okay, I
much.
guess it is.
But so I love being a DM, but I had to speed along a campaign that I had 4 big bosses, and then the character that I had given to the party as like a if you're screwed, he'll help character was going to be the big bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to speed it along to they killed the first boss, and then the character I gave them became the big bad guy that was a sealed away time magician. And they loved the fight. It was a great end of the campaign. They got like race awakenings and their personal backstories opened up, and then they all died. But it ended well, but I feel horrible because I had to completely unearth all of it. I had to just rip up half of like 3/4 of that whole arc that I had planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know.
You don't know how to handle that? You don't know where to sit with those feelings?
I guess I don't know if I should try to DM anymore if that's going to keep happening because I kind of.
I see. Well, okay. I need you to do a couple things. I need you to take a couple breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Do them at your own pace, whenever you want. You can do them today or tomorrow, just somewhere in there. It is always hard to say goodbye to a campaign. In the same way that it's hard to say goodbye to a group of friends, in the same way that it's hard to say goodbye to something else. We put so much work into something. The idea of closing the door on it for the last time is genuinely a little heartbreaking and very real. It is a very real feeling. And D&D is a game that sits in the mind in a way that we don't always imagine how real it is. But in the same way that, like, if you sit next to someone in class and you know their name and that's all you know about them, then you don't necessarily think about that much. But if you spend an hour every day with them and you talk to them and you get to know them, they become real. They're not any more real than they were when you only knew their name, but they feel more real because you know them more. And that is what D&D is. That is how the game is played. It is okay to be sad when a campaign is over. You should not think about it like a failure if you had to rush things or if you felt like you had to rush things. You should think about it like a learning experience. And I genuinely think that if you have strong enough of feelings about remorse, sadness, whatever, about ending it the way that you did, to me that speaks to you probably should continue to be a dungeon master. Because if you care that much, you are going to get better at it. And you are going to learn from your mistakes. And if you care about it that much, you will care about it that much again. And I will say, you said you're about to go into college?
Yeah, I'm about to be in college.
Dude, there is, okay, I don't have zero interest in traveling back in time to any other part of my life, but if I knew how much I liked D&D when I was in college, I would have liked D&D. I would have had such a good time. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to use D&D as a wonderful tool to make some new friends, and you're going to play some fucking sick ass campaigns, and it's going to be a good time. Don't stop. Don't stop, won't stop is what I would suggest.
It's the absolute best thing to say when they go through the whole, like, state your name, state your major, state something that you're interested in, your hobbies. D&D is such a good one, especially if you're coming at it from a DM perspective. Everyone's going to want to play with you. And yeah, basically what Cinder said, it's always an opportunity to learn. None of us start out great. Most of us start out shitty, and most of us end up having to end campaigns for some reason or another. You know, it's very rare to see something go to full fruition. So don't let that be your measuring stick.
Most of the time when somebody is giving advice on the internet about D&D, they are either giving that advice because it comes from a personal experience of them messing that up, or it's because they read it on Reddit. It's usually one of those two. Half of the things I have to say because I fucked something up and I still think about it. That doesn't mean I don't love the game, but it means that, like, you know, we all mess up. We all mess up. But yeah, walk, I would say shoulders back, chin up, walk boldly into the night and defeat some fucking monsters and make some friends.
Well, there's a second side to this coin. I'm a bad person. I'm sorry I'm taking so long. But
make the second sign really fast.
It's really fast. When I'm a player, I feel like I try to steal the spotlight because I think of myself as a DM even when I'm a player. And I don't know how to stop it. I try my best to be a comedic relief character, but sometimes I am bad.
I mean, I would just say never tell anyone what to do and shut the fuck up sometimes. It's like, that's bad. It's simple advice, but that's really what it is. That's what it comes down to. You got to stop trying to control, and then you got to shut the fuck up.
If you really can't stop yourself, play a Kenku. Just don't even give yourself the opportunity to talk about stuff.
That's very funny. Yeah, it's hard. Backseat dungeon mastering is definitely a thing. Listen. I'm in a podcast right now. I'm a player. I've been doing it for like a year and a half with these guys. I still backseat dungeon master sometimes. We all do it. You just gotta try to acknowledge it and apologize and stop very quickly.
All right. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
and
man.
thank you, Rose or Diana or whatever.
Love you. Bye.
Yeah.
Click. College. You remember college? I did college.
College was so much fun.
I'm going to be honest. I had a pretty great time at college. I did not particularly have a good time in high school. I think elementary school had its ups and downs, but I had a very good time at college. College was good.
You just surround yourself with people you like. You take classes you like, and it's like your introduction to your campus is like a teeny little demo of the real world. It's an enclosed little sphere. It's so much fun.
And you really get to like intentionally present. Like you get to like sort of like figure out who am I outside of my family? Who am I outside of the history that I've been building up for the past 17 or 18 years? It's a strange and wonderful thing. We'll share some crazy people stories that are off stream at some point. Ask me about my buddy Danny T, and I'll tell you some stories
Danny
that are
T.
for the After Hours episode. All right, let's bring in Pugface Paladin and then Bebop, and then we're gonna end with Koshi the Deathless because that's a cool name. And if anyone else comes in, I'm sorry, but you're not gonna see that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's grab Pug. Oh, it's Pugface, not Pudge-faced. I'm sorry. I was projecting. Pug-faced. Hey, Pug.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
All right, lost him immediately.
Are you still here? I heard a hello, and then you cut off. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Is it still?
You're here now. Are you still here?
Yeah.
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going okay, yeah.
What can we do for you tonight?
So one campaign that I'm playing in, there are a few issues that I've been having.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm overall having fun with the campaign, but there are a few specific issues. Now this isn't a problem in and of itself, but the DM is very set on constricting character creation to the player's handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa.
Which I find pretty constricting because there's only so much you can do with, like 2 or 3 subclasses per class, and no artificer. Like, come on, no artificer.
So,
did they have a rationale for that?
No, they did not.
Question. What do you care more about, playing with this person or have you asked them for? Okay, first of all, did you ask them rationale for it or no?
I have, but I haven't really gotten a straight answer.
If you haven't gotten a straight answer and you don't think you're gonna get one, then I think that you have a choice to make, and that choice is: do I want to have this argument, or can I figure out how to make a character from the player's handbook that I will like?
Right.
And I think that is the move.
Yeah. I have to agree. You don't have a whole lot of options there. It's really, the DM is in control and they kind of have a final say, and it is unfortunate sometimes, especially when there doesn't seem to be logic behind that sort of thing. But the player's handbook does have a good amount of options. It might cause you to give you a chance to explore new classes, new combinations that you didn't think you would want to do normally, but that end up being really cool. Really, it sounds like it's going to come down to either going along with the player's handbook options or just not playing, I'm guessing, in this sort of situation. And so, yeah, you kind of have to choose.
Yeah. Have you played much D&D before?
Yeah, I've been in a few campaigns.
Okay, yeah. I mean, so if you're not, it sounds like, I mean, if the dungeon master doesn't have a good reason for it, and they don't know, that's just like a decision they made, or they have very strong feelings about the power levels of the other subclasses or whatever, I mean, you could kind of probably use that to sort of inform yourself as to whether or not like that's the kind of campaign you want to play in. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, so it's like, take it or leave it. At a certain point, you can't. The thing is, the Dungeon Master is in charge of the game. So even if you win the argument, it's going to end up being shitty because it's like there might be levels of resentment there that could like I'll give you a very good example from my real life. I had a player that was like, I don't remember what it was. It wasn't silvery barbs, but there was some magic item or something that I didn't want in my game, and they like tried to argue with me to put it in the game. And then eventually they won the argument, and I was like, okay, fine, you can use it. And then I just got fucking really resentful at them whenever they used it in a cool way. And it was like, that sucks. Like, I shouldn't be getting resentful at my player for doing something cool. I should be the cheerleader of my player. And it's because I didn't really want them to have that item in the first place, and I relented, but I relented in a way where it was like I didn't change how I felt on the inside, and it led to conflict that we as people needed to like address later. So it might also just be the move where it's like, how much do you care? Like if you can think of a cool fiend warlock, make a fiend warlock,
Yeah.
Or run your own game and be like, we're going to have our own game.
Yeah, take control.
Yeah.
Your own game with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. It's a frustrating situation to be in, though. I commiserate with that. There's really, really nothing worse than when a dungeon master is not willing to engage in a conversation with you about why things are the way they are. Like, they can feel however they want, and you might disagree with the reasoning, but if they're not going to give the reasoning, it's like, that's very frustrating. Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Hope that helps. But
all right, Pug, you're not saying anything, so I'm gonna hang up on you.
Yeah.
Great.
Bye.
All right, bye. Love you. Bye. That was Pug. All right,
Cool.
we got 2 more.
2 more.
You ready? Do we need
Great.
get some stretches?
Let's do
it. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's get Bebop. What's up, Bebop? Do you know Rocksteady? Bebop, do you know Rocksteady? Beep boop, answer me. Beep boop. I don't know if you can hear me, or if you're even there. I don't know if you would listen. I may not have time to talk, but I'll be listening. Well, you're in the fucking call now, dude. All right, well, then I'm hanging up on you. I love you anyway. Bye. All
Good
right.
talking to you.
Let's get Koshi the Deathless. What's up, Koshi?
Hi.
Koshi the Deathless. That's a cool name. Are you going to unmute, or is this how we do it?
Yeah.
Ah, welcome. Good. That'd have been a bummer if the last 2 calls couldn't have been calls.
Yeah, I was kind of like, he's calling.
What's up, man? What can we do for you today?
Well, I have 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
One's GM based, and one is character based. I'm gonna mute the YouTube tab.
Yeah,
that I have open.
or mute it or make it louder.
I'm an up and coming dungeon master, and I want advice on what one-shot campaign that I should use, and how you prepare games as DM yourself, and how long does it usually take offline?
Wait, ask this again. I didn't hear the second 2.
How do you prepare prepare games as a DM yourself for an offline game?
Okay.
Essentially.
How much time you put into it really depends on your level of comfortability with the module itself. There are some people who quite literally just read the book once and then they just run it. And that's so ballsy. I could never, because even for one-shots, they can be kind of hefty. And there's so many choices that the players can make that sometimes you might want to do what I do and spend days or weeks just beefing it up, adding more content, tweaking the content to better fit your DMing style, adding new options, taking away some other options. So really, there's no hard answer to how much time you put into it. It's just work with it, read it through, decide if you want to tweak anything. And if you don't, that's fine. You can play it as it is. And then as far as like good modules to start off with go, Lost Mines of Phandelver is like a campaign that's considered like the OG starting one. It really, as a DM and as a player, it really like kind of guides you into how checks work. It's not a particularly difficult module to run or to play. And then for like an actual like straight up one shot, Wild Sheep Chase is pretty solid. The only thing is it starts at 4th level. And so for if your players are also new, I wouldn't recommend maybe starting off at anything other than like 1st level just to begin with. But it's free, so that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wild Sheep Chase is great. There's a bunch of good resources on the old Reddit and stuff. If you go to, there's a great subreddit called D&D Behind the Screen.
So good.
Which is a great, it's a great resource. If you mention that and somebody knows it, you're like, yeah, you fucking know what's up. You fucking know what's up. It's like a mostly text-based subreddit, and it's just full of knowledge. And if anyone tries to start anything, everyone's like, shut the fuck up, get out of here. We're just trying to do business. It's great. I've had so many posts deleted from it because they weren't serious enough.
You have to do serious DMing here.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. Just to go off of what Diana said, I think you should always plan until you're not having fun anymore. As soon as you're not having fun, I don't think you need to worry about it anymore. And then if you're playing in a home game, there are some things you can do that I think are worth taking the time to think about. So, for example, if I'm playing in a home game, I try to have a Spotify playlist ready to roll, either on my phone or on a speaker at wherever it's going to be. Sometimes I actually will take a Bluetooth speaker with me if I know the person's house that I'm going to be playing at doesn't have speakers I can plug into. Music is like very, very, very impactful in a game, and it can help ground the vibe in a way that can be super, super powerful. And like, just look at any of my TikTok videos or any of my YouTube shorts. If you took the music out, I would sound way less like I know what I'm talking about, and also way less everything. Adding that little bit of music to the scene does a lot. It's much easier to do online, so in person it does sometimes require a little bit of work. Oh, the last thing I would say is if you are somebody that's super crafty or just interested in being crafty, bring some fucking minis. Or they don't even need to be nice. Like, build a map out of cardboard. I used to make dungeons out of cardboard and hot glue, and I would like make like little buildings and stuff. They didn't look good, but they were like 3-dimensional, and sometimes that tiny little bit of work of having a physical thing that you can give to somebody to hold is like, it does a lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're giving me ideas. Oh, this might be bad.
No, it's
I might get into it.
Another subreddit called r/d&diy, and that was like my favorite thing growing up because it showed you how to make your own, minis, your own like dungeon tiles, like fully modular ones out of cardboard and things like that. I got hooked into that for so long, and it's also it's free resources for the most part. So I feel like a lot of the costs that comes with being a DM is like just buying things like minis and battle maps and things like that, but you don't have to. So especially when you're just starting out, it's a lot of investment. So definitely feel free to go the DIY route.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing. This is gonna be pretty quick.
Let's go for it.
So I have a wizard character prepared as a secondary character in case my primary character in the campaign dies.
Good.
Who's a part of the lineage of necromancers, but he's a black sheep because all the rest of his family wants to rule the world. He just wants to make a stable living.
All right.
By raising zombies and using them as a workforce.
Sure.
I wanted one of the relatives to be a retired demi-lich uncle.
Whoa.
Who's a bit cranky.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what would be the best way to talk to my DM about it? Would we like discuss it, or
exactly
I'm not
the way you just told us, honestly.
Yeah. Just tell them what you're excited about and see if they can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just really want the uncle to be like, you're a disgrace to the family. You haven't even taken over a town.
Yeah, I feel like it can work really well if the demi-lich is like not helpful in any way. It's like their role is like because there is a thing that can sometimes happen with players in Dungeon Masters where a player is like, hey, can I be like the son of a god? And the Dungeon Master is like, sure. And then like two sessions in, they're like, oh, I'm going to ask my dad to give me superpowers. And you're like, that's not how this is going to work. It's like, oh, my dad's a god. And it's like, okay, now I see why you want to do that. So just, I would say don't expect to get power out of it. But I think I would just tell your Dungeon Master that. Tell your Dungeon Master about it. Be excited about their campaign. The more excited you are about the Dungeon Master's campaign, and the more excited you are to integrate your ideas into their game, the more likely they are to also be down.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm honestly really excited to what me and my DM come up with because I just love the idea of a cranky Uncle Demi-Lich who's
Yeah.
retired.
It's a fun idea. It's a fun idea for sure.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.
Click. Oh man. So, Diana.
Mm-hmm.
That was what streaming is. It's basically that.
Cool. Easy peasy. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. And I would say we knock on tabletop. We are good. We're good at fostering a pretty positive and inclusive community. So we don't have a lot of nonsense we have to deal with. But I want to say thank you to everyone that called in. But before that, I wanted to ask you if there is anything you would like to talk to or share or promote, because we are going to start wrapping up soon. The floor is yours if there's anything you want to shout out or anything.
Honestly, every time someone asks me this, I don't really have much to say. My handles are already in there, so just if you don't know who I am and you've just been sitting here being like, who is this woman? What is she talking about? You can go to my TikTok. That's my main thing. My Instagram's mostly just my personal stuff anyways. But I will also say I'm going to be at Gen Con Wednesday through Sunday. So if any of you guys are going and you see someone with this color of hair, just nose pressed to glass, staring at dice she can't afford, that'll be me. So feel free to come say a quick hello, preferably a quick one because I'm sure I'll be overwhelmed. But yeah, beyond that, I'm hanging out. Thank you so much for having me on. This is so much fun. You guys are all so nice. Yeah.
Cool. All right. let me see. I'm trying something new here. So guys, before we go, tomorrow I should be streaming with Blaine Simple and Davy Chappie. I don't know exactly what time, so it's not on the schedule, but just keep an eye out. But Wednesday night is my big game with Zach Speaks Giant and Caustic Phoenix and all those fucking rad people, where I play a little pixie man. So you should come. It's Wednesday night on the GM Workshop's Twitch channel. And thank you again for all the wonderful calls and all the super chats. Very, very nice, very generous. And yeah, y'all have a great night. And we're gonna see if this works. Let me see. So I'm gonna turn this here. They can still hear us.
Oh boy.
It's fine. But here, I'm gonna do that. Now they can't hear you. Now they can only hear me. And if I do this, okay, this is gonna work. All right, guys. I love you guys. Have a great night. Be good to each other. And I shall see you later.
I don't think about it. About you leaving me. I don't know who I'd be would everything we built just turn to broken leaves. I don't think about it. Do you think of me? Walking out that door, never hearing me talk to myself in the morning anymore. Would it all just turn and turn and turn and turn and turn and turn? You don't think about it. Maybe it scares you like it scares me. What do we do with all the possibilities? Doesn't it scare you like it scares me? What do we do with all the possibilities? We don't think about it. We don't think about it. just fall into each other's arms. And we laugh and we cry, we dry each other's eyes. But we don't talk about it.